5 o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heat and humidity making a comeback. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the Tennessee Star says Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell has released details of a public safety proposal that includes adjustment to face mask restrictions. News Channel 5 reported this aims to keep whom officials say are white supremacists from hiding their faces when they march in Nashville. This includes 4 pieces of legislation O'Connell plans to put before the Metro Council that he says would boost public safety and recognize First Amendment rights to peacefully gather and speak. Meanwhile, anti-hate rally goers telling Channel 4 yesterday,
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. I get free speech and I get, the right that people don't want their rights taken away. But I think that you also have to come in and say there needs to be some sort of middle ground.
Another lawsuit against Tennessee's zero-tolerance policy towards school threats, the law that allows schools to expel students for at least 1 year for making threats at school. Well, Channel 4 says the family of a student in Williamson County filed a lawsuit after their kid was expelled for allegedly raising a Hitler salute and saying something about Korea. Well, the parents say the school district policy goes too far because no one was hurt and there was no real threat. And right now in Arizona, heavy rains and swelling rivers prompting rescue missions to pluck tourists in the Grand Canyon out of harm's way.
Everyone's evacuating. All right.
Helicopters were used to evacuate more than 100 tourists and residents of a local Indian reservation Saturday afternoon. The National Weather Service said the area received between 1 to 2 inches of rain within about an hour and a half. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
The markets called it a week with a major rally after Fed Chair Jerome Powell told the Economic Summit in Jackson Hole the time has come to cut interest rates. We'll see if stocks can maintain the momentum as they get back to work. Earnings season is coming to a close with some big companies reporting this week, including chipmaker NVIDIA and CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity company that was involved in that global outage last month. The latest Case-Shiller Home Price Index will be released on Tuesday, as well as consumer confidence numbers and the new GDP report on Thursday. The weekly jobless claims report is due out on Thursday, too. Last week, the number of Americans who filed for unemployment benefits rose by 4,000 to 232,000 the previous week. First-time claims are considered a proxy for layoffs, and the numbers continue to be historically low. At the close on Friday, the markets were all in positive territory, the Dow and the NASDAQ up in triple digits.
All right, Dow futures up 33, S&P up 9, NASDAQ up 42. That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news.
5:06 Monday morning, August 26th. Hope you're doing well. Dan Mandis here along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver. Man, I don't even know where to start. I've got JFK audio, of course. I've got Kamala Harris using Donald Trump's wall as part of a campaign ad. I've got the media. I think they're really starting to get PO'd because of a lack of access in interviews with Kamala Harris. There is just a lot to get to this morning, and I'm just going to get right to it. What is this whole thing regarding truancy gate? Kamala Harris throwing parents in jail if their kids were truant, had too many absences in school back when she was a DA and an attorney general in California. Is there really anything to this? I want to dive into this a little bit because I do find it really interesting. The Harris campaign, they're trying to say, well, no, this whole thing is being taken way out of context. Is it? Let's take a look at it, shall we? Did she or did she not send parents to jail for their kids' truancy? A classic example, I would say, of gaslighting. I love this on Twitter. I want you to listen very closely. A reporter telling two completely different stories. Again, listen very closely. This is obviously a pro-Kamala reporter.
One of the programs that she started on truancy, which is what a lot of people have been hitting my Twitter feed about, how, you know, that program, from their criticism is it separated black children from their families. Mm-hmm. She talks about the fact that, you know, yeah, there were a lot of tough decisions that were made, but I stand by them. She's going to have to talk about that more fully.
All right, so that was back in 2019. When that reporter, and I don't even know the dude's name, but that reporter is calling out Kamala Harris to concerns regarding truancy gate and sending parents to jail if their kids were truant or had too many absences in school. This is that same reporter today.
Kamala Harris never sent parents to jail for their kids' truancy.
All right, so what is the truth? As San Francisco local district attorney, this is what they say. As San Francisco's local district attorney, from 2004 to 2011, she wanted to lower the San Francisco school district's truancy rate. So she did come up with a bill that would fine or jail parents whose kids had high truancy rates. Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger actually did sign this bill into law. Now, she said this when she was elected to the state's attorney general's office. Again, listen very closely.
We are going to expand our campaign to end elementary school truancy. It is time to say that in the state of California, it is a crime for a child to go without an education.
All right, so when she was the DA of San Francisco, she had this program where she wanted to fine or jail parents whose kids had a lot of absences in schools. She's hired to the state's attorney general's office, and you just heard she wanted to expand that as a statewide initiative. And so her tough on truancy idea, it did go statewide. And she sponsored that bill in the California Senate. It was SB 1317, and that did actually result in parents being jailed. So the question is it fair to say that Kamala Harris, in her role as a DA and an attorney general, send parents to jail or fine them if their kids had a lot of truancy? Well, yes, because she was a very strong and vocal supporter of this SB 1317, a bill statewide in the state Senate that did send parents to jail. Factcheck.org shows that California's 2010 truancy law that she sponsored did result in parents being jailed. And so it was interesting because I was watching Kamala Harris going way back when, her inaugural address when she was elected as California's Attorney General. Listen to what she said then.
So goes California, so goes the nation. People around this country look to California. They look to us to see what change looks like. They look to us to see what innovation can be. They look to us because we are always unburdened by what has been and instead inspired by what can be. And that is the promise of California.
She said that stupidity way back then. Anyway, so you heard her say, as California goes, so goes the nation, right? Incredibly high regulations that are strangling businesses. California becoming a sanctuary state and being overrun by illegal aliens and massive amounts of citizens fleeing the state of California.
They look to us to see what change looks like.
Right. Mandatory minimum wage for fast food restaurants that put them out of business, cost millions of jobs and businesses to shut down. Massive crime continues specifically because of her time in the Attorney General's office, where she supported soft on crime measures. And massive homelessness issues have overrun California as well, to the point where some parts of California are actually unlivable.
So goes California, so goes the nation.
I don't want that. And I think that there are many Americans who are looking at her time in California and saying, no, this is not what we want as Americans. We don't want America to become California because there are parts of California that are like a third world nation. And at a last check, by the way, California had a $68 billion budget gap, and that is growing. In other words, California, it's the land of terrible ideas. And no, we should not be looking at California to see where we want to go. And so as far as Truancy Gate goes, I'm going to say that it is true. The ideas that she sponsored, the ideas that she brought to the table were initially implemented in San Francisco. Then ultimately, it became a statewide initiative. It was passed. It was signed into law by the governor, Schwarzenegger, and parents were sent to jail for their kids being truant. Now, here's the deal. I'm not even saying that that's a bad idea. I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, kids who don't go to school and you've got parents for whatever reason, if the kids are just, they're not going to school because they just don't want to go to school and their kids are not making them go to school, I understand the idea of fines and possibly them being jailed. I'm not saying I support that, but I do understand the idea. If we want to explore that further at some point, we can. What I find interesting is that they're running now, Kamala Harris and her campaign, they're running from the fact that this was not only her idea in San Francisco as the DA, but she's also running from the idea as it was expanded statewide. Why are you running from this, Kamala? You were very proud of it when you were the Attorney General. Why are you now running from this idea? This is a very controversial thing in California. There's a lot of Californians out there, by the way, who are like, Kamala Harris, This is not a woman that we think should be president, but the Kamala bots out there, and that it's blue no matter who. I'm here to tell you that no, we don't look as Americans, we cannot look to California as a place where great ideas are born. This is a place where terrible ideas take hold, and they've destroyed the state of California with the help of Kamala Harris. Most certainly, she was a driving force. It is 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News. Time to check the roads. Thanks very much. Sunny and hot, a high of 96. Right now, 68 degrees. It is going to be brutally hot, like all weekend. I mean, did I read right? It's going to be like 99 degrees or so on Wednesday.
We're going to hit the century mark, I think, Wednesday and Thursday. All
right. So it's kind of funny because the little woman over about a week ago was saying, oh, yeah, the hotter weather's gone. She was saying it's gone, hotter weather, no more.
I've heard some of our own hosts on this station go, well, this is probably the last week we're going to have this.
See, I never said that.
No, you've never said that.
One thing I'm not, it's a weather person. Anyway, 5:16 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, in the 6 o'clock hour, we're going to do a deep dive into what the polls are now saying related to RFK Jr. joining forces with Donald Trump. And has anybody else noticed, maybe it's just me, that Trump is really forming this coalition of incredible people? I mean, you've got Vivek Ramaswamy, you've got RFK Jr., you've got Elon Musk as well. I bet you Tulsi Gabbard. I know that Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know, has she officially joined Trump in any way? I think she probably has. If not, she more than likely will. One of the things that RFK said, and we'll cover this in much greater detail in the 6 o'clock hour, but RFK said that Trump is going to be bringing on more Democrats. So we'll cover that again in the 6 o'clock hour. The polling is turning out to be exactly what I said would happen last week when RFK did this, and there was a lot of discussion about him possibly doing this, was that with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump so incredibly close that RFK, who was, 3 to 5% in some of these really close battleground states, this would put Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. And I'll spare you the suspension. The polling is showing that to be true. So this is a very big deal, an earthquake, really, in the world of politics. 517 on Nashville's Morning News. Have you seen the new ad by Kamala Harris? And it's an ad, and I tweeted it out. I put it on X at Dan Mandis Show. She's now being blasted for her new Tough on Illegal Immigration commercial, which, believe it or not, features several shots, photographs, and video of Donald Trump's border wall.
As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
You know what's kind of funny is that it didn't really seem all that tough with Donald Trump. I mean, he had to overcome all the Democrats and some Republicans as well. But at the end of Donald Trump's term, that wall, portions of that wall was built that ultimately ended up in Kamala Harris's commercial. 30-second commercial, and there's several different shots of Trump's wall. Mike Howell, the executive director of the Conservative Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project, screenshotted the wall images in the ad and criticized Kamala Harris on social media. What is in that ad? He said on X Friday. Looks like at real Donald Trump's border wall to me. Yeah, people noticed this. This was a big deal on social media. Howell's post ignited a frenzy online with other Trump supporters calling out Harris for her previous public opposition to the wall project. Hey, Kamala Harris, I thought walls are racist. You and Biden stopped building a wall. Now you use it in your campaign video. What's up with that, I would say. Neither Harris nor her team referred to the wall featured in her ad, but the Democratic presidential nominee has repeatedly made it clear she does not support the wall. Then why is she using it in her ad? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like she's being a hypocrite. It's what it seems like to me. Back in 2017, when she was a U.S. Senator for California, Harris called the project a stupid use of money and vowed to block funding for it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you think about her campaign, from the DNC to being out on the campaign trail, it's all just full of lies and obfuscations. We went through this in great detail last week after the DNC. Even some of the media are noticing this, including, you may have seen this on the socials, Jonathan Karl from ABC.
But if you take a look at that ad, one thing that I found striking is if you look, and I think we have the images here, there are at least 3 points in that ad that show the border wall, Donald Trump's border wall. Is it now the position of the Democrats that they favor the border wall?
I mean, great ask, great question from Jonathan Karl. Under her watch, as border czar, illegal crossings at the southern border exceeded those seen during the Trump administration by 140%, according to the House Committee on Homeland Security. So why is she using Donald Trump's wall in her ad. What an empty suit. What an empty pantsuit this woman is. What an empty administration this has been, and what an empty campaign this is so far. And by the way, I'm here to tell you that she has done this before. There was a story, I think I told you about it. I to be honest, I cover so much I can't remember. But there was a story a couple of weeks ago where Kamala Harris had another ad where she is standing in front of California law enforcement, and she's trying to make herself look tough on crime and tough on the border and all of that. And there's one guy in this ad, a sheriff, and he was aghast when he saw the video used. And he is Tulare Sheriff Mike Bordeaux, who was really ticked.
This ad is deceiving, to say the least. I remember this particular case where we did a drug cartel or a drug trafficking organization where we worked with DEA. And the issue was that in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room. So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. And I just wanted to come out and say that for me in Tulare County, the sheriff of Tulare County, looking out for victims, looking for someone who's going to support criminal justice and law enforcement, that is best represented by Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris.
Oh, snap. Not only does he come out and he supports Donald Trump, but I think he was mispronouncing her name. Oh, everyone I'm sure on the left is aghast that he's mispronouncing her name, and that's probably what they're focused on. But the reality is that Kamala Harris, she's not being truthful in her ads. And now the question is, will the media actually call her out on that? I know, probably not. 523 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Well, the family of an ambushed and murdered man in Middle Tennessee is speaking out, and we have a preview of the presidential campaigns on the road today, coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
When it comes to getting your information to start your day, there's only one place to go in Nashville.
Everybody knows
Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
This morning from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m.
on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Dan Mandis here, and people are talking about Window Nation. Now, their customer Vicky says, we couldn't be happier. This was a great experience, and Vicky is just one of over 33,000 five-star reviews. Now, that's because Window Nation is all about value. And this month, they are giving you a great value during the Window Nation anniversary sale. Now, right now, you buy 2 windows, you're going to get 2 free. There is no limit as to how much you can save. Plus, you could save even more with no interest or payments for 24 months. You act right now, and you're also going to get $250 credit. They also stand behind their windows with a lifetime warranty. Window Nation was also recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies. So, you can trust Window Nation for high-quality, affordable windows. Stop paying more than you have to. Hurry, though, this sale ends August 31st. So, schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
This report brought to you by Efficient HVAC.
Hey guys, are you suffering from delusional dad bod syndrome? This is when you look in the mirror and you see yourself as a young hunk, but actually you're just an old big chunk. You could win the Dad Bod of the Year award. Hi, I'm David Brewster from Aqua Clear Water Systems. Hey guys, it's not your fault. You've been drinking fat water. That's water with all the heavies in it, like heavy metal, heavy hardness impurities. You drink heavy water, it goes down your gullet like a lead sinker. If you start drinking pure water from the Aqua Clear Water System and don't eat, you're guaranteed to lose weight for sure. Now, these comments have not been approved by FDA or your mama, but I do know drinking pure water is good for your health, so drink up. Go to our website, aquaclearws.com. That's aquaclearws.com.
Aqua Clear will change your water. It'll change your life.
Grab your Speedo and to the beach you go. Look out, ladies. Here comes the healthy hunk.
Here is a friendly reminder from the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Don't forget to renew your hunting and fishing license. License now expire 365 days from purchase and can be purchased at gooutdoorstennessee.com. While you're there, pick up a hard card too. They make great collector's items. Don't forget to click Auto Renew to save you some time the following year. This is a great feature. Visit gooutdoorstennessee.com. We hope to see you in the woods this year.
529, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. News with Ken is coming up next. Busy Bee HVAC, they're always looking for ways to save you money, and right now, they've got a great back-to-school special going on. You buy a new high-efficiency HVAC unit, you can register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, which is a $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of the winner's choice. Now, remember, they do plumbing as well at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And right now, you get $500 off of a tankless water heater conversion. $500 off of a home drain repipe and a whole lot more at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. When you become a Beehive member, you can also get a free membership for a teacher, coach, or faculty member. Here's the deal. Busy Bee HVAC, they care about you and our community. Tell them Dan told you to call. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com. They are your Rude Pro partners. 615-775-7833.
It's 5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heat and humidity is going to ramp back up to more summer-like levels. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. One of the wars raging overseas heating up this morning. The BBC says at least 3 people have been killed, dozens injured in a wave of Russian strikes against key energy targets in Ukraine. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, here's Perry Russum.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says drones were intercepted trying to reach sites in central Israel. Sources tell ABC News the intended targets were estimated to be Israeli intelligence bases. The Pentagon ordering 2 aircraft carrier strike groups to stay in the region. The U.S. Embassy in Lebanon's capital of Beirut telling Americans there to prepare contingency plans and be prepared to shelter in place. Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah says their latest operation is complete and they will wait and see if more action is needed.
Back here in Nashville, the family of a man police say was ambushed and murdered in Donaldson last week is speaking out. Police say 20-year-old Xavier Johnson was lured to a home by a woman. His family says he likely thought she was a friend.
You loved people enough that you still went, even though you didn't know what the outcome would be. He shot him, murdered him, riddled him up with bullets, 10 or whatever speculation they said. And the part is, they left that same person that would give them anything, feed you, take care of you, left him there like he was a dog.
Witnesses told police they saw a man come out of some bushes before multiple shots were fired. Johnson was found dead in the backyard. The couple still on the loose. Election 2024, Allison Kosick covering the Harris-Walz and Trump-Vance campaigns.
Both campaigns are hitting the trail this week. Harris and running mate Tim Walz will take a bus tour across Georgia, while former President Trump heads to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Harris leads in each of those key states, with the exception of Georgia, according to 538 polling averages. As for Trump running mate J.D. Vance, he heads to Michigan as he explains his support for Trump's proposed tariffs on some imported goods.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 5:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, if you have a piece of land, part of your property that you don't really know what to do with, why don't you think about putting up a pole barn from my friends at Stoltzco? They are the premier pole barn builders right here in the state of Tennessee. Now, you know, putting up a pole barn from Stoltzco could increase the value of your land big time. You can use it as a garage, event space, equestrian building, or you can just live in it. Now, the thing is, pole barns from Stoltzco, they are flexible and built really well. You can also, by the way, plan ahead and build your retirement home. So call these folks, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-622-5992. Love those barn dominiums, pole barns that you can live in. Stoltzco is the company that can build it for you. 615-622-5992. You can also check them out on the socials, Instagram and Facebook, or at their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. .37. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the Gang of Three Amigos. Good morning, Johnny B.
Good morning, Dan Mandis.
Ken Weaver is here. Hello, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
I received a love note already this morning.
Well, it's Monday, Brother Dan. It's everybody's favorite day, and it is the everybody's favorite time of everybody's favorite day.
It's really not. So Ned sends me a tweet. You can follow me at Dan Mandis Show. And he's got a picture, I mean, whatever it is, of, I think this is a Family Guy or somebody vomiting. And he says, thanks at Dan Mandis Show for the Monday morning gags. I just can't stomach you running all these clips of Kamala Harris. I couldn't care any less for what she has to say. I don't agree with her or any of her values, so being forced to hear her odd voicing serves no purpose for me. That's what Ned says.
Well, all
right.
Self very clear, doesn't he?
Appreciate you listening.
Sure.
Hey, Ned, this is for you.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
Ned, that's for you.
I'm sure that makes Ned feel better.
You know, Ned, I'm just telling you.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
I'm speaking. You know, Ned, if you'd like, I could pull out some Hillary Clinton audio.
Sure.
I'm sure that would make Ned really happy.
Well, Monday just couldn't get better.
I'm just kidding, Ned. I love you, Ned.
Hey, Ned.
I just love getting nasty grams on X first thing in the morning.
It's a good way to start the week.
You know what? It's actually, I don't really care at all because I have to do what I have to do, which is inform and educate the public. You see, Ned, you're really smart. But research shows that when we have elections, people come to the talk stations to get the news and information and perspective.
And don't forget, Ned, what will be can be if we let it.
That's right.
I'm speaking.
There you go.
I'm going to use that philosophy.
Yeah. There's no reason why you shouldn't. So
exactly.
You know, I went through a conversation over the weekend with Amy. We were trying to figure out who had the more annoying voice. Is it Hillary or Kamala Harris? Now, I think, didn't we have this conversation before on WTN?
I would not be surprised.
No. Man, that is like right up my alley.
Yes.
Whose voice is more annoying? Is it Hillary or is it Kamala Harris? And here's the thing. It's not sexist. It's just their voices are annoying. Obama had a really annoying voice too, because it was kind of interesting with Obama. Everywhere the man went, he could be like outside and you'd still hear an echo.
Yes.
With Obama.
Maybe it was the brain.
Good morning. Good morning.
He was going through his
whatever.
Well, you know, they were trying to do that with Biden too. They were doing the same thing with Biden.
Well, I did notice it when
the idea.
Of course, with Biden, he just gets confused. He's like telling himself, "Stop yelling at me, me."
And the message.
Yes, it is going to be fun. And boy, they are attacking RFK Jr. Already.
Oh, even his own family. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, they were after him long ago, though, man.
Yeah,
Whenever he decided to get in the race, they were.
You got to love the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
Though. Like he is, he's probably the only conservative. Well, he's not a conservative, actually. He's far from it. So he's probably the only, though I'll say it this way, the only Trump supporter within the Kennedy clan. And, you know, when I heard the Kennedys were disavowing RFK Jr., the first thing I thought of was, I could give a crap what those people think. A bunch of aristocrats, who gives a crap what they say?
Yeah, they get away.
Do you know what I mean?
And they get away with everything.
One of the things that I've noticed online is that there are all kinds of stories out there, and they're talking about how, and I've got one coming up probably in the 6 o'clock hour if I can fit it in, where you have all these people who are, you know, everyday Americans, Uber drivers and cops and, you know, taxi drivers and cooks and chefs or whatever, where they're, despite all of the joy that Kamala Harris and the Democrats are promising, there's no joy in Bidenville or Harrisburg right now, which is they've had the country for the last 3.5 years, and there's no joy. So I just don't know if all of a sudden, this is how vapid some of the political rhetoric is these days on the left, is somehow automatically there's going to be joy when Kamala Harris takes the oath of office. It is so silly. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
None.
And so instead of talking about, you know, politics or I should say policy and these kinds of things, they just have Oprah Winfrey out there screaming joy, like, you know, oh, okay, I guess everything's okay now. So it's going to be really interesting. I was talking to somebody over the weekend. The next 3 months or so until November 5th, I don't know if we've really seen anything like it in all of our time of covering politics. I can't think of a time when it's been this insane. So yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun. By the way, we have a new hot zip code. And by the way, other people saying on Twitter that they liked the Kamala audio. So now we have Ned against the world and people on the text group. Also, for whatever reason, it's almost like with Kamala Harris audio, it's almost like you have to play the audio to actually try to uncover whatever the hell her truth is. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because nobody really knows what she's talking about. We have a new hot zip code. Can anybody guess what the hot zip code is these days? Because it's almost like every single week there's a new hot zip code. Can you guess what the hot zip code is, Ken?
No.
Johnny?
Well, you told me, so I can't really guess.
Columbus, Ohio.
Really?
Of all the cities, Columbus, Ohio. Daily Mail calls Columbus, Ohio the leafy Midwest suburb named the hottest zip code in the U.S. and the other surprising markets home buyers love. So, yeah.
I liked visiting Columbus.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, they got real good chili up there.
Real
good chili.
Is it that, what is it? In
I can't remember the name of it.
Cincinnati, they have a big chili. Oh, what is it? I had it, and it made me damn near sick. It was Skyline.
Yeah,
Skyline chili.
Oh, it's real good.
Nope. It was not good.
All right.
It was not good at all.
Now, see, I like Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati's cool.
I think that's a very cool town.
Cincinnati's a cool town. I don't know if I've ever been to Columbus. I think Columbus doesn't exactly inspire me to, pull over and stop and see the greatness of Columbus.
Nothing against anybody in Ohio, but that's just a state I just don't think, hey, let's go to Ohio.
Never been interested in it?
No, I mean, I've been in it, and it's just not for me.
Even for the chili?
Even for the chili.
Hey, by the way, I don't know about you guys. I think, did you hear what happened over the weekend to Brittany Mahomes, the wife of quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Did you hear what happened?
No.
This is kind of serious, and I want to be serious for a minute.
Okay.
She may have lost the friendship of Taylor Swift for liking a Donald Trump post.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This was big to do over the weekend.
Uh-oh.
So apparently Brittany Mahomes...
So, Brittany, we are never, ever getting back together again.
At some point...
Going to be a song about it.
Yeah. Oh, you know there's going to be a song about it. She had liked it was a policy-driven tweet from Donald Trump. I don't really know exactly what it was, but she liked it. And so this is the insanity of the left. So people are now apparently looking at Donald Trump's tweets and looking for people who might be like in the public and calling them out if they're even liking it. Can you imagine going to a Donald Trump tweet, which is going to garner thousands of likes, and somebody spots that Brittany Mahomes has actually liked that tweet, and now people are attacking Brittany Mahomes for liking it, and people are now worried that Taylor Swift is going to end her friendship with Brittany Mahomes.
Man, the world is...
People are worried about it.
Everybody is, man.
All the Swifties, they want to know what T-Swift is going to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the election, no. Come on. The economy, no.
Yeah.
We're concerned about the friendship.
Apparently, Brittany Mahomes has gone, and I didn't know you could do this. Yeah. She went back and she unliked the tweet.
Oh.
Somebody told me that
she's so brave.
So I wonder if... What was it really her that liked it? I mean, was it
I don't know. Daily Mail.
Mahomes?
Daily Mail says it was. Daily Mail says that it was Brittany Mahomes.
Yeah,
she didn't leave her Twitter up, and somebody
just got to leave it there, man.
Brittany Mahomes sparks liberal meltdown after liking Donald Trump post on Instagram. It was actually Instagram, I guess. So
on the gram.
That is exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting cooler, guys. I mean, we're getting there.
Slowly but surely.
It's going to take a while, but I mean, we've gotten to where the gram is now part of our everyday vocabulary.
You know what the thing is? I try to use some of that Chris Hand vernacular, and my brain just starts cramping.
Well, it's hard for it for us to sound as good as Chris does.
Yeah, because it's natural for him.
What did I try the other day? Now, I had actually multiple people explain to me what red pilled was.
Right.
So I got that. I tried to use based, and I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Does Murphy Show use based?
I know.
I don't think Murphy Show does, and I know Brian doesn't.
No. That's a Brother Chris Hand thing.
Yes, it is.
And you've got to you've just got to be, it's just got to be part of your nature.
Your vernacular.
Yeah, you can't just throw that out there. Like,
what
you
else
can't be Ken Weaver and walk up and say, boy, that hot chicken is based.
Based in sauce.
That chili they serve in Columbus, Ohio is based.
But I think that would be actually an inappropriate use of the word based. Because based means based in fact.
Yeah, and cool. I think it's another term for being cool.
We got to ask Chris this. What if you're one but not the other? Because I feel like I am based in fact. I don't believe that I'm cool. Feel free to jump in, guys, anytime.
You're based in fact.
Dan, you're cool.
Well, they always said don't argue with the host.
You're not cool.
You are based in fact.
Thank you, Johnny.
By the way, I hate to disagree with you, Dan, but I think the hot zip code.
Yeah.
And I don't know their zip code, but I think it's actually Portland, and I'm not talking Oregon. I'm talking Tennessee.
Portland, Tennessee.
I went to Portland, Tennessee over the weekend, kind of last minute. Went to see William Lee Golden and the Goldens at a beautiful place. It's called the Temple Theater. They have redone this theater. It actually started out as a theater way, way back when, and it's been various businesses over the years. Well, they basically went in and refurbished the whole thing. It's now a theater once again. I'm telling you, the greatest place to go see a show. And the Goldens were fantastic this weekend. Yes. And what's cool is everybody up there, we went up to the snack bar, and all the guys behind there, big fans of the station, the show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the whole thing. So
if I go up there, can I get free pop-pop?
Well, you might. Just tell them who you are. But they've got the big one I want to go see.
Hey, I'm Dan Mandis. Can I get free popcorn?
Can I get free pop-pop? But what we
Throw in an icy.
What we ought to do is for Christmas. This is our trip. We go up to the Temple Theater on December 20th. Check out Mandy Barnett Christmas. That ought to be good. Mandy Barnett, for those that don't know, she played Patsy Cline in Always Patsy Cline.
Oh,
great country, great vocalist. I mean, she's just fantastic.
Ooh, do you guys know what I want to see? I want to see Reagan.
I do too.
You see, who is that actor? Help me. Somebody help me. Who's playing Ronald Reagan?
Oh, man. Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Yes.
I cannot wait to see that movie.
Yeah, I can't either. It looks good.
By the way, people are now making fun of me because I remember when I picked up Sus. That's Sus.
That's right.
Yes.
You did.
I didn't pick that up from Chris Hand. I picked that up from Little Riker.
Yeah. The real youngsters.
The real youngsters
are
using things like Sus and so forth. So maybe in the 8:35 version of the Gang of Four Amigos with Chris Hand, I will go through some of the latest and greatest vernacular. But for now,
maybe we'll do that.
You guys make sure I forget that, okay?
That's something to look forward to. Sure.
If I'm going to tease something like 3 hours from now, that's not the thing to tease 3 hours.
Wait a minute, honey. I got to hear the latest vernacular those boys are using.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
What's coming up?
Well, Russia is hitting back at Ukraine, and here in Nashville, no more masks for white supremacist marchers. Coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, coming up next, the RFK effect. Will he impact the election? I got one word for you. Yes, he will. I've got all the details. Some great audio as well. He was on fire this weekend. All of that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It's Nashville's Morning News for a Monday. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heat and humidity ramp up again this week. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. One of the wars raging overseas heating up this morning. The BBC says at least 3 people have been killed, dozens injured in a wave of Russian strikes against key energy targets in Ukraine. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Perry Russum says it was a weekend of missile fire between Israel and Hezbollah fighters as hopes for a ceasefire in Gaza continue.
The White House is showing some optimism in ceasefire talks. A senior administration official says even though Hamas rejected the latest deal, Hamas negotiators are still in Cairo where discussions are happening. And U.S. officials say the U.S. was not involved in the Israeli airstrikes over the weekend, but they did help the IDF track incoming attacks.
Right now in Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell has released details of a public safety proposal that includes adjustment to the city's rules on face masks and other face coverings in public spaces. Now, News Channel 5 was the first to report the proposal aims to keep protesters from hiding their faces, and it comes after a number of marches in Nashville where there were masked men carrying Nazi signs. It was a mission that was supposed to last 8 days. Instead, it's lasting 8 months. The astronauts who arrived at the International Space Station on Boeing's Starliner back in June will be waiting until they can hitch a ride with Elon Musk's SpaceX next year. Here's Andrew Dembert.
Boeing employees tell the New York Post the situation is humiliating, with one saying, "It's shameful. I'm embarrassed. I'm horrified." Boeing saying in a statement the company continues to focus first and foremost on the safety of the crew and spacecraft. The astronauts' families now reacting to the news that their loved ones won't be returning home for another 6 months. Suni Williams' husband, referring to space, said it's her happy place. While Butch Wilmore's family tells Good Morning America they're praying for a safe return on whatever spacecraft that may be.
Market numbers report. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Stock futures are higher after the Federal Reserve signaled that interest rate cuts are imminent. On Friday, the Dow Jones added 462 points and closed at 41,175. The S&P rose 1.15%. The Nasdaq gained almost 1.5%. It's a big week for earnings reports. Chip maker NVIDIA opens its books on Wednesday. Its stock is up 150% this year and itself is responsible for a quarter of the S&P's gain since January. Railroads are rolling again in Canada after government officials ordered 10,000 workers at the two biggest freight haulers back onto the job this morning. Canadian labor officials have ordered both sides in the dispute into binding arbitration. An internet and web outage that impacted thousands of travelers at busy Seattle-Tacoma Airport was the result of a cyber attack. International travelers were hit hardest as they had to be manually checked in for their flights.
All right, right now, Dow futures up 48, S&P up 9, Nasdaq up 21. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Information fueled, opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
6:06 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And welcome on in to your Monday, August 26th. Dan Mandis here along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver as well, RFK Jr. all over the place. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've been listening to a lot of RFK Jr. the last few days and editing up audio together, and I'm going to tell you that I really like what he has to say. Now, first, on Friday, he spoke about censorship in America as he threw his weight and his support behind Donald Trump and actually now joining forces with the former president. This is RFK Jr. One of his big deals, as you can imagine, censorship.
He wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information. We know a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys?
Nope.
They're always the bad guys, because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism.
RFK Jr. is one of the most censored people in America. If you're not really familiar with RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you ought to check him out. Because, yes, he is one of the most censored people in America. When COVID was going on, he was banned from commenting on the socials about vaccine hesitation. Turns out there was a lot to be hesitant about. And if you look back on what RFK Jr. actually said, he was right on a lot of the things that he said about the vaccines. He had a 30-minute campaign video called "Who is Bobby Kennedy?" that was suppressed on social media as well. It was almost like the laptop from hell. He got the same treatment as the laptop from hell, and it's awful. But that's what they do. And why are the socials censoring RFK Jr.? Well, obviously because they're supporting Kamala Harris. He was also blocked by the Democrats from getting onto the ballot in many states across the country as well. I'd also call that a form of censorship. Here's more from RFK Jr.
And I'm sorry to say that while democracy may still be alive at the grassroots, it has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, the Democratic Party. In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it.
I mean, it's right. That is true, and he's right. That audio, by the way, was pulled from a roughly 48-minute speech which he gave, and it's basically all about who he is. It came out over the weekend. I posted it on X. And by the way, most of the things that I speak about every single day, I am also posting on X. You can follow me at Dan Mandis Show. I'll follow you back. Now, that audio, again, was pulled from that big-time speech that he gave. First, he appeared on stage with Donald Trump. Then he had this long speech that is basically available anywhere now. They are not suppressing that, as far as I can tell. And that audio bite that I was playing, he was talking about the Democrats destroying democracy to only allow Joe Biden to run in the primary, then tossing Joe Biden out and installing Kamala Harris. It was a total coup. He also invoked the name of his father, Robert F. Kennedy, and his uncle, John F. Kennedy, and compared them, Democrats, compared them to Kamala Harris and today's Democrat Party and their unwillingness to debate or be interviewed. Listen close.
My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. Yep. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days. This is profoundly undemocratic.
I think, are we up to like 36, 37 days now? I have no idea how many days it's been, but the countdown does continue. And so one of the things that he did, I'm playing audio from RFK Jr. joining forces with Donald Trump. All of this happened on Friday after we got off the air. I love the fact that he scolded the likes of CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, and MSNBC for their treatment of him. They were either not interviewing him or bashing him because clearly RFK Jr. is a threat and was a threat to Joe Biden. And so he compares how he was treated to Ross Perot.
Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me.
Think about that. So he was doing really well in the polls. I think I heard him say he was up like 20%. He was around 20% in the polling. And the networks literally refused to interview him. So to me, that's just another example of how the Democrats are a threat to democracy. Because he is a legit candidate, was a legit candidate. But they wanted to suppress his message. The reason why they wanted to suppress his message is because we did see polling that showed that he would pull from Kamala Harris. And that's why he decided to just say, okay, you know what? I'm going to support Donald Trump. And it is true, and I'm going to get into this here in a minute. It is true that he also reached out to some of the other campaigns because he is looking for a way to, there's a number of things that he wants to do. Number one is do what he can to end censorship. He also wants to protect kids and their health. We're going to get into that as well. Two of the really big issues that RFK Jr. stands for. Now, in this speech, he also spoke about a number of his passions, which is processed foods and its impact on our kids, healthy kids through healthy food, a war on ultra-pasteurized or processed foods, vaccines, and big pharma as well. Ukraine and the amount of money that we're sending to Ukraine, also a big thing that he's very passionate about, and the fact that he and Donald Trump will admit that they have many policy differences, a lot of policy differences, but there are also many issues that they agree on. I saw over social media, you have the RFK and the Trump haters, and they have a video of Sean Hannity. And Hannity he's got this video, and it's just showing all of the things that RFK Jr. stands for. And a lot of this stuff is things that are antithetical to what Donald Trump stands for. To me, I think that this is actually something, and some of you are going to think that I'm crazy, but I think this is something that Donald Trump should embrace. Because I want you to think about the Democrats and the cancel culture of the left. And they keep screaming about wanting to be united. They don't really mean that they want to be united. No, they want to destroy the enemy. But what is Donald Trump doing? Donald Trump is building a coalition of people that there's a lot of things that they disagree on, but there's a lot of things that they actually do agree on. And so the more that these folks are able to find common ground, which is what the Democrat Party used to be about, Donald Trump is doing that with RFK. With, I'm sure, Tulsi Gabbard is on her way to the Trump administration if he wins. She's going to end up, I guarantee you, somewhere involved in the Trump campaign. Elon Musk is another one. I could go on. But I'm telling you that the more that Donald Trump widens that tent, which is exactly what he's doing, opening that tent to people like RFK Jr. Not only is he building a coalition, but he is also increasing his chances of winning the presidency. I'm going to get into that, the nuts and bolts of the campaign. It's all straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7. It is 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Sunny and hot today. It's going to be a really hot week, as a matter of fact. A high of 96 today, and right now 69 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, talking about RFK Jr. and his passions and what he's going to bring to the Trump campaign. Again, what does he want to do? What were the big issues of his campaign? Now he's dropped out and joining forces with Donald Trump. Ultra-processed foods that are impacting our kids, vaccines, big pharma, Ukraine, and the amount of money we're sending to Ukraine. He brings up a lot of points that Donald Trump has brought up as well. And again, part of the strategy, I think, here is admitting the policy differences. Now, one of the things that he wants to do, he's going to drop out of the battleground states where his presence could mean a loss for Donald Trump and a win for Kamala Harris. This was Jesse Waters on Friday night.
They're saying in the 7 battlegrounds he was polling between 3 and 5%. And if those votes now go away, they say Trump gets about 60% of those compared to what Harris would have gotten. And that translates to this, and this is big. In Arizona, that would mean 41,000 additional votes towards Donald Trump. That's like a lot bigger than the margin last time. In Georgia, almost 20,000 more votes for Donald Trump. You remember how tight these margins are. These little shifts can really play a big role.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. That's what I was saying on, last week when we were talking about the fact that these margins, I mean, you've got Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. They are really neck and neck. They are. And so you've got Jesse Waters. He is right. Where if RFK Jr. can bring Donald Trump 3 to 5%, especially in these battleground states, that is going to be massive. And do you know who knows that? Erin Burnett from CNN.
Now, the latest swing state polls show Kennedy with 5 or 6% of the vote. And so when you think about it overall, you may say, well, that's not a big deal. Actually, if that is the case in swing states, it is huge. It is everything. It is more than the margin between Harris and Trump in some of those same states.
Now, as she's saying that, on the screen, you see in Arizona, RFK has 6%. Now, that's a big deal. Assuming that 6% or a lot of it goes to Donald Trump, that puts him over Kamala Harris, Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. North Carolina, RFK has 5% of the vote. Nevada, 6%. Michigan, 5% in Michigan and Pennsylvania. So, again, that is a very, very big deal. And then this was on News Nation.
Talking about North Carolina and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. And in every single one of those 7 battleground states, all of these RFK voters, RFK Jr. voters, break towards Trump. Some of them, Trump is getting 2/3 of the RFK voters, and he's getting about 4%, 3% in these states.
Yes, again, that I agree with Erin Burnett and Jesse Waters. This could be huge for Donald Trump. And for the Harris campaign, he reached out again to the Harris campaign. He reached out to all of the campaigns, and it was only Donald Trump that returned his call. Kamala Harris did not return his call. Donald Trump did. Because, again, Donald Trump wants to build the coalition. And even if there's people that, disagree on some issues, like I'm sure that Tulsi Gabbard, if she ends up, and I believe that she will, ends up joining the Trump campaign, then there's going to be issues that Tulsi would disagree with Trump on. But they understand the absolute threat to America that Kamala Harris is. This is from the New York Post. One pollster, Chris Lane, said his outfit's most recent national survey showed among swing voters who will ultimately decide this election, 16% indicated they were going to vote for RFK. He says, and this is the quote, with margins in battleground states being razor thin, that 16% could represent the difference between winning and losing a state. Lane pointed out, if RFK encourages his supporters to vote for Donald Trump, it could have a massive impact and change the election. Change the calculus for both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, especially in those battleground states. According to the New York Post, with Kennedy in with Trump, it is Trump up by 1% nationally. So the bottom line is that according to most outlets, Kennedy in the race for Donald Trump puts Trump ahead of Kamala Harris by a couple of points in those battleground states. Still, though, very, very thin margins. 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is open. It's 615-737-9986. 615-737 WWTN. It is 6:21. Ken Weaver was coming up in the news. All right, well, we'll move on. Apparently, Ken doesn't have a tease. Ken is shocked I was on time. Dan Mandis here, and I can tell you, as a guy who gets up early, and I'm telling you way early, that first cup of coffee is absolutely critical to waking up and feeling great. Now, I've tried all kinds of coffees over the years, and these days, I've discovered Space Cowboy Coffee. This is incredible, rich tasting coffee with signature blends from around the world. They now have espresso roast as well. And I got to tell you again, I love Space Cowboy Coffee. This morning, I've had 3 cups. Now listen, if you're a coffee snob like me, give Space Cowboy Coffee a try. Now their blends and single origin coffees are as unique as their name. And if this is the first time that you've heard of Space Cowboy Coffee, it's not going to be the last. It is a new company based in Nashville. Now I've been trying all their different brews, and yes, they are amazing. Check them out at spacecowboycoffee.com and use promo code Dan. You're going to get 10% off your first purchase. You spend $50 or more, and you get free shipping. Now remember, that's promo code Dan to save some money and get some of the best coffee that Nashville has to offer. Now you can try them in pods, whole beans, or ground. Space Cowboy Coffee is my new favorite wake-up call. Find them online, spacecowboycoffee.com. 627, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. How are you? Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show, where you will find a video. This is a great video. It's Jon Stewart calling out the hypocrisy of the DNC.
They had a guy yelling, "Screw the billionaires," followed immediately by a very happy billionaire.
J.D. Pritzker.
It's all okay if it's our billionaire. I don't like billionaires, but he's all right. They had guys making fun of people for going to Yale, and a bunch of people who went to Yale. People who prosecuted sexual predators, and
on the screen appears a photograph of Bill Clinton. That's exactly right. That was interesting. Like the DNC, they're always so contradictory. And I will say, and there's been a lot of people that have called out the Democrats for actually having Bill Clinton there. And we all know the history of Bill Clinton. We can talk about the bimbo parade, courtesy of Hillary Clinton. We can talk about Epstein Island. I'd rather not, with kids in the car. But a lot of people were questioning why in the world they would have Bill Clinton there. But Jon Stewart is not the only one on the left to be calling out the bizarreness and the hypocrisy of the DNC. Coming up, my favorite story of the day, where the rank and file of the Democrat Party, they're now calling out the party elites. It's all straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now, the wars overseas. Ines de la Cuetara says Russia has launched one of its biggest attacks on Ukraine in months.
Russian strikes reported this morning across south, central, and western Ukraine. Ukrainian officials saying Russia fired at least 100 drones and at least 40 missiles. Lviv, Dnipro, and Kyiv were all hit. Explosions also heard in Zaporizhia. Power and water plants appearing to be the main targets. This comes as Ukraine launched a surprise attack on the Russian region of Kursk earlier this month and celebrated its Independence Day on Saturday.
Now in the Middle East, fears of a wider war appear to be subsiding for now, with both Israel and Hezbollah declaring victory this weekend in the largest Israel-Lebanon cross-border attacks against each other. That is since the start of the Gaza war. And here in Middle Tennessee, today marks 6 months since Sebastian Rogers disappeared from his home in Hendersonville. Channel 4's Carly Gordon says his father may demonstrate outside of the sheriff's office today.
Just last night, he posted on Facebook essentially saying he wants answers now. 15-year-old Sebastian went missing on February 26th. Crews have conducted multiple searches but haven't found a trace of the missing teen. We've also seen prayer vigils and fundraisers held by community members that are now rallying around Sebastian's family. His father, Seth Rogers, has not been cleared as a suspect in his son's case, but he has been very vocal about trying to keep his son's story alive, and he's expressed frustration with the way law enforcement is handling the case.
And election 2024, there are still many voters out there who have not made up their mind. Here's Em Wen.
This election may come down to those who are still on the fence. Our latest polling and analysis by ABC News, The Washington Post, and Ipsos shows about 12% of Americans are still open to changing their minds about who to vote for or whether they'll vote at all.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.636 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Welcome on into your Monday, August 26th. This is my favorite story. And Jonathan Fahey's going to help me talk about it. But I want to tell you the story of a rank-and-file Democrat who went to the DNC. Now, we all know that Kamala Harris lies all the time, right? We all know that. Well, this young female Democrat employee, or she's a volunteer, she went to the DNC hoping to reconnect with the Democrat Party.
When I first got into politics, I thought that Democrats were the party of the people. And at the DNC this week, I felt like I was in a building with the most elite and out-of-touch people in the entire world.
I mean, think about it. She's saying things that we've all known for a long time and we spoke about during the DNC. I mean, listen to the names. You've got Eva Longoria.
Election.
You've got Stevie Wonder.
We must choose courage over complacency.
Right. We've got Mindy Kaling.
Kamala Harris can cook.
We got Kenan Thompson.
This is Project 2025, the Republican blueprint for a second Trump term. Boom.
So, of course, you've got, everybody knows Oprah Winfrey.
We are a country of people who work hard for the money. We wish our brothers and sisters well, and we pray for peace.
So you have all these celebrities out there and talking about how Kamala Harris is going to stand up for the little people, right? I mean, that's part of what the Democrats have been saying for years. But this gone viral employee or volunteer of the Democrat Party who went to go work for the DNC, she's disillusioned. She's disillusioned because she does. She's noticing and experiencing what the American people noticed about the DNC. And that was that you've got all of these elites out there and they're basically saying, oh, trust us. The Democrats are looking out for you. And she's like, you know what? I'm not buying this.
And when I was there listening to the speeches, I felt myself feeling mad because I didn't hear anything about the economy. Definitely not in Kamala's speech and not very much in the others as well. Instead, I heard generic platitudes, things like joy and respect and integrity. And what does that even mean?
6:39 on Nashville's Morning News. Jonathan Fahey joins us, and he is one of our political commentators and analysts. And Jonathan, she's asking a question with a platform of Kamala Harris and the Democrats about, joy and all of this other nonsense. What does that mean?
Yeah, you're right. I think nonsense is the best word, and I think her observation is so correct. And like you said, so many people have been noticing this for a while, but if you look at the Democratic Party, compared to when I grew up and probably when you grew up, they have totally changed, I would say almost 100%. They really used to look out for the working class, and now every single policy they implement or try to implement harms the middle class, whether it's this massive illegal immigration, which devastates the middle class in terms of wages and other costs like healthcare and schools. But just every time they have a chance, they take shots at the middle class. Another thing that's interesting, remember a big theme, it used to be in movies a lot that, it would always be sort of the liberal politician would be standing up for things like free speech and, those types of things. And now the Democratic Party is so authoritarianism, they basically a feature of the Democratic Party is suppression of opposing viewpoints. And it's pretty scary because they get up there and they say these things, but the reality is, they don't care at all about the middle class. And, Oprah Winfrey, congratulate her on her success, but she doesn't particularly care if the average person does any better. She's saying things that make her look good and her feel good, and it works for her and good for her, but it doesn't help the middle class. And you see where the Democrats are in power, and California is a great example. Every objective measure has gone, things have gone worse, and particularly in things the Democrats always talk about. They always talk about things like, income disparity and wealth disparity, or whatever they call it. And California, I think, has one of the largest disparities between rich and poor. They have, I think, one of the highest poverty rates, one of the lowest educational achievement rates. So it is so much hypocrisy, so many platitudes, and I don't think when they play the celebrity game, and I think it hurt them with Hillary Clinton, I think it hurts them when people see this because it really is just a bunch of people congratulating themselves. And as this person said, just talking in, platitudinal stuff because they can't talk substance, or if they do talk substance, they harm themselves. And, Kamala Harris cannot talk substance, and we all know that, and that's why they're hiding her.
Well, one of the interesting things, Jonathan Fahey is joining us. She eventually said this Kansas City Democrat volunteer, she's part of the ground game, is that she says, I'm not voting Democrat anymore. She is one of the many now that are out there saying that the party has left her. And we've seen that, for especially since Joe Biden took over, that there have been a lot of people that have left the Democrat Party. Let's talk about RFK Jr. You want to talk about censorship and oppression at the hands of the Democrats. This is a guy who definitely understands what it's like because they censored him. They oppressed him as well. They simply would not allow him to get his name on ballots in many states. This has been an ongoing issue with RFK. Talk about, from your vantage point as somebody who watches the news and watches the polls and, all of the different sides, how big of a deal is this for RFK now, as we learned on Friday, to join forces with Donald Trump?
I think it's a really big deal. And, one way I think you can gauge whether or not it's important is how do the Democrats react to it? Do they just say, who cares? No, they have been full frontal assaults. They brought out all the Kennedy members who, oddly, it kind of goes back to your first theme. These people in the Kennedy family think they're still relevant. Like, nobody knows who Kerry Kennedy is or any of these people. But the way they have attacked him so viciously, and, I think it was Tammy Bruce that had this open letter to the Kennedy family. It's like, you'll stand by a family member that drowns a young woman in a pond and doesn't even go to seek to get her help and puts your political career first. They'll put that person, they won't shun that person. They'll continue to vote and support him. But somebody has a different political view, you'll attack him. But, the funny thing is about RFK, his political views aren't really out of step, he's still a Democrat in terms of what his old-time views are and many of the issues. But the way this party is operating is it's this authoritarianism party. And they did it really with Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden with their nominations. They did everything to shut everyone out. They don't really want an open process. But I think it is a big deal. I mean, I think probably a point or two. However, that's huge in any of these swing states. You get a point in Pennsylvania, a point in Michigan, a point in Wisconsin. It could be the difference. But I do think they are freaking out about it. And they attack him personally, but if you listen to his speech, and I'm sure you have, what did he say in there? I'd love to ask one of them, what did he say in there that wasn't true about the way the Democratic Party's operating? I don't think they could point to a single thing, so they have to, call him crazy, attack all of these other things, but they really can't attack the substance of him. And it is funny, they always trot out the Republicans at the convention, like Kinzinger and, that are now Democrats. But you look at, there's a lot of Democrats. John Tester in Montana will not endorse Kamala Harris, as far as last I had heard. And Sherrod Brown, running for re-election in Ohio, is doing everything he can to avoid her. So there are a lot of Democrats that are they haven't officially disavowed this party, but they're certainly running away from it as much as they can without disavowing it.
6:45, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Jonathan Fahey joining us. Jonathan, coming up, so I want to compare and contrast the Democrats with the Republicans and Donald Trump, as the Democrats are attacking anyone who is going to be a threat to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, but that's kind of over now. The campaign of Donald Trump, they're really putting together a coalition of people that bring a great amount of, wait for it, diversity to the Trump campaign. Details straight ahead. Time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. Sunny today, hot, high of 96 right now, 69 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Jonathan Fahey is joining us. Now, you look at, Jonathan, what the Democrats are doing and how they're attacking anyone who first could have been a threat to Joe Biden, now Kamala Harris. Meantime, you've got Donald Trump that is welcoming with open arms RFK Jr. You can call it, politically convenient, strategic, whatever, but Donald Trump is doing that. You also have RFK over the weekend said expect more Democrats to jump into the Trump tent. You've also got Elon Musk, who is supporting Trump. As a matter of fact, there's stories out there today where they're talking about how both Elon Musk and RFK Jr. could have cabinet positions within a possible Trump administration. What does this say about Donald Trump as opposed to Kamala Harris?
One thing, he really isn't the standard party politician that, okay, the Republicans say this, so this is, everyone has to agree with this. He doesn't get any credit for sort of being open-minded and coming up with new ideas, but you think of just as simply as the no tax on tips. it's a good example of whether or not you agree with the policy or not. He's thinking of new ideas, new ways to do things, new ways to help people. And the Republican Party really does have more open-mindedness. I mean, you look at, RFK, you look at Joe Manchin, who basically is like, I can't deal with this party because they are so, you have to be in lockstep or you're kicked out. You can't be a pro-life you can't be a pro-life Democrat in any respect. You could certainly be a pro-choice Republican, and, people may not agree with you, but they don't try to banish you from the party. So I think it really does show, Elon Musk is not your standard Republican in any respect. And he says, I think he has always voted Democrat or mostly voted Democrat. I'm not certain of this. But, and so he's on Donald Trump's plan because I think he sees the Democrats have been in charge, and they are in charge, with everything culturally, and things are going in a horrible direction. So this idea is like, why wouldn't you at least consider changing rather than doubling down on something that's making our country worse? And I think, those right track, wrong track numbers always indicate people think we are going in the wrong direction. But the parties are so much different because there is diversity. You can get up there. You can remember the Teamsters guy got up there and talked to the Republican convention, and he didn't give like a pro-Republican speech. He kind of stuck it to them in certain areas, and they accepted him and welcomed him. And it's like, that's a good thing to have people that have different things to say, and you actually learn a lot more when you hear different points of view than if you just stick to this, the Democratic, standard talking points and all of their things that they're not changing. So if you love the status quo, they're your party. But if you want things to get better and people will try new ideas, they will get better. And just one quick thing on Donald Trump, people always talk about the mean things he says, and that's the Democrat, that one of their main campaign strategies. But it's like he talks more substance, and for 30 years he's been on TV consistently talking about issues, and he has evolved positions over time, but he's talking about things, thinking about things, and he does listen to other viewpoints. And it's like he doesn't get the credit for that, which he should. He listens to other people's views, but he doesn't just take whatever the standard position is. He's not afraid to say what he thinks is a better thing or what he thinks is best for the American people. But the parties could not be any more different than they ever have been.
Well, it is interesting, too, Jonathan, because aren't the Democrats the ones that say that Donald Trump is a dictator? Yet you're absolutely right. He's bringing all of these different and diverse viewpoints into his campaign. I think that's huge. I don't think it's going to be a shock if Tulsi Gabbard officially jumps into the Trump campaign at some point. Just because, and maybe she already is, I just don't know about it, but I know that she's no supporter, she's no friend, clearly, of Kamala Harris. And by the way, we've only got a minute left, but I've got to get your opinion on this story where you had Kamala Harris put out a commercial about how she's going to be tough on the border, and they used shots of Donald Trump's border wall in Kamala Harris's commercial, and people are calling her out.
You cannot make this stuff up. I mean, it's so breathtaking that they're doing this. And anyone, and I know all of your listeners know this, but it's like, whatever, it doesn't, who cares what they say? It's like, what we have when you have a track record of what somebody has done for 3.5 years, you don't really have to pay as much attention to what they say. And it's like, we have 3.5 years of an open border. And remember, they campaigned on it in 2020. Every policy they implemented was to encourage illegal immigration. They punished anyone that enforced any immigration laws, including their own agents. They support sanctuary cities. They're in favor of every single benefit that American citizens get to be given to illegal aliens in terms of health care and all these things. Plus, they get free phones, gift cards in New York, free housing. So this idea that, and it scares me because they have been, her poll numbers are good, and if they could trick enough people that don't pay attention, maybe it works for them. But it is so disgraceful because they have been fully open borders, particularly her. She doesn't even think coming here illegally should be a crime. So what does that tell you? Yep. Well, you get to stay. So, yeah, it's so disgraceful. But it's amazing. It's audacity, but plus they know the mainstream media is so heavily in their camp that they know they can get away with things that if Donald Trump did sort of the converse, it would be blown out of the water in 2 seconds.
Jonathan, always great analysis. Appreciate it. Have a great week. It is 6:52 on Nashville's Morning News. Yeah, the low information voter. You want to talk about a threat to America? The low information voter scares the living crap out of me because they can turn this election. 6:53 on WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
A new public safety proposal by Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Details at 7 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 6:53. Gotta love Window Nation. Now, they put new windows last week in my kitchen and my upstairs bedroom. They look incredible, just like the windows they put in my downstairs studio. They look great. So that is a total of 4 windows now in my home from Window Nation. This is my window company. Now, let me tell you something. The financial benefits of installing new windows can be huge. It's going to be really hot this week. Now, listen, if you've got old and inefficient windows and your AC is blasting, all of that cool air is going to escape. What that does, it drives up your energy bills. You can save money with energy efficient windows from Window Nation. And right now, you can buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Plus, right now, they have 0% financing for 2 years. That includes no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 2 full years. A great deal from my friends at Window Nation. Again, this is my window company. So many ways to save. Window Nation. Find out all the options at windownation.com. Don't forget that great deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Plus, right now, 0% financing for 2 years. That includes no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 2 years. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heat and humidity ramping back up. In fact, we have an orange air quality alert today. This is for active adults and children, but also for people with chronic respiratory problems. Just to keep in mind that ozone levels are going to be a little high today and could exceed the unhealthy level. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 2 minutes. A new public safety proposal by Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell. He wants to make adjustment to the policy for wearing masks or face coverings in public. News Channel 5 reported it is aimed at preventing protesters from concealing their identities while marching in Nashville. The mayor, in releasing his statement on Friday, even brought up the current political climate and the risk for violence. It comes after previous demonstrations have included marchers in downtown Nashville wearing face coverings and carrying Nazi icons. Meanwhile, over the weekend, another anti-hate rally, and those in attendance told Channel 4.
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. I get free speech and I get, the right that people don't want their rights taken away, but I think that you also have to come in and say there needs to be some sort of middle ground.
War is raging in Ukraine as Russia and Ukraine keep going at it after the Russian invasion there. Ian Pannell says Russia has responded to Ukraine's recent successful incursions.
Ever since Ukraine launched its ground incursion into Russia about 3 weeks ago now, we've kind of been expecting a strong response from the Kremlin. Well, it looks like it's happening. A massive nationwide attack underway across Ukraine. President Zelensky saying it's one of the biggest of the 2.5-year-long war. Russia apparently firing more than 100 missiles, mainly targeting, though, Ukraine's already bomb-damaged power and water plants. In Kyiv, residents taking shelter underground, air defenses shooting down many of the missiles and drones.
And election 2024, Allison Kosick covering the Harris Walz Trump-Vance campaigns today.
Both campaigns are hitting the trail this week. Harris and running mate Tim Walz will take a bus tour across Georgia, while former President Trump heads to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Harris leads in each of those key states, with the exception of Georgia, according to 538 polling averages. As for Trump running mate J.D. Vance, he heads to Michigan as he explains his support for Trump's proposed tariffs on some imported goods.
The Harris campaign touting a surge in fundraising. $82 million donated last week during the Democratic National Convention, and more than $500 million donated since President Biden stepped aside last month. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 45, S&P up 5, NASDAQ down 19. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:08, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. By the way, sunny and hot today, a high of 96. It is going to be brutal all week. So just know, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you what to wear, but you might want to break out the shorts again. By the way, big news. People have been asking if there's going to be a debate watch party for us very quickly. Yes. Join me, Chris, Matt, and Brian at Scoreboard Cedar Creek in Mount Juliet, a triumphant return as we watch the next presidential debate together. It is going to start Tuesday, September 10th at 3 p.m. with the drive, and then we'll watch Trump take on Harris in the second presidential debate. If you have not been to Scoreboard Cedar Creek in Mount Juliet, it's a place where I go often, and I went ahead because I was there over the weekend. I just posted a photo of me and Amy over the weekend on Saturday, and that may be the biggest alcoholic drink I have ever had in my life. And yes, I did drink the entire thing, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
It was a good time.
Very large time.
Can I just say that when Amy was younger, she was able to handle her alcohol a lot better? I don't know.
Can the same be said for you?
I was fine.
Were you good?
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. So if you guys want to go, we would love to see you. Details at 997WTN.com. It is 7:09 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to play this this piece of audio, and I heard it in Ken Weaver's newscast, and it really just, it triggered me. It angered me. It was about the plan for Mayor O'Connell to institute like new mask regulations, and which is a whole nother conversation. I understand what he's looking to do, but I'm just curious, is that going to be, I'm assuming that's going to be for everybody. Because, these days you got guys that are running around Nashville and other cities all across America in masks, and they're robbing and they're pillaging, they're doing all kinds of bad stuff, and you can't tell who they are because they're wearing masks. And so you get all these people that freak out because, you got some stores that say no hoodies allowed, right? No hoodies allowed. And everybody said, oh, that's racist. All right, well, whatever. But I didn't think so because that applies to, I walked into a store a while ago last winter and I was wearing a hoodie and they said, no hoodies allowed. Now, whatever. So I took my hoodie off. But that's not the point. The point is that this comment from, I don't exactly know who this person was.
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. And I get...
Who is saying that hate is the default energy in Nashville? Who is saying that?
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. And I get...
I would like to know who out there thinks that hate is the default energy in Nashville. I've been to downtown. I've been to fairly recently. I've been to downtown. I've been to Broadway. I've been all over the place. And I can tell you that, concerned citizen of Nashville, that hate is not the default energy. That's almost insulting. It angered me when I heard that, because here's the deal. You may have a few knuckle-dragging idiots that are out there, espousing this white supremacy BS. But hate is not the default negative energy of Nashville. It's just not.
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. And I get free speech and I get, the right that people don't want their rights taken away. But I think that you also have to come in and say there needs to be some sort of middle ground.
There is no middle ground with white supremacy. I would say that to this person. There is no middle ground to white supremacy. If you remember what happened. You had all these knuckle-dragging white supremacists that were yelling at little kids. I forget exactly the what and the where, getting off a bus, walking somewhere. I don't remember. But these white supremacists that made big news were yelling at a bunch of black kids. And it was horrified. The entire city and the entire nation was horrified. And people spoke out. I think every single host here on WTN spoke out. I know that I did. Spoke out against that because it is horrifying. And we're the conservative talk station in Nashville, and we're absolutely calling that out because it should be called out. So I as a guy who's lived in Nashville for over 10 years, I know a lot of you folks have lived in Nashville a lot longer than I have. Hate is not the default energy of our city. It is simply not. And for whatever reason, I feel compelled to try to defend Nashville. I love Nashville. It's got its faults. I love Tennessee. Nashville has a lot more faults than the state of Tennessee. Don't get me started on that. But by and large, I love Nashville and I love the state of Tennessee. And I bet most of you folks, if not all, would agree that hate is not the default. And I've not met one person, anybody out there who has been keeping up with the story of all of these knuckle dragging white supremacists walking around Nashville, carrying their signs and putting on their hoods and all that kind of stuff and yelling at little black kids. I absolutely abhor that. I hate that. And I would almost guarantee you that the vast, 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 vast majority of Nashvillians and Tennesseans would agree that that kind of behavior is absolutely abhorrent. So no, concerned citizen, hate is not the default energy, the default vibe of Nashville, whatever. 7:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. 7:15, 69 degrees. As far as your weather goes, sunny and hot today. High of 96, and right now 69 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So let's call the rest of this segment Democrats Are Crazy. There's an influencer out there. His name is Lionel McLoin, and he got into the DNC, and he started asking some Democrats some absolutely crazy, ludicrous questions. And they fell right for it. So I'm going to play you some of these because they're astonishing just to listen to. For example, one question was asked of a DNC goer: would you rather have democracy or access to abortions? Listen to this.
Would you rather have a democracy or access to abortions?
Either or. I feel like that's a very tough question to answer. I feel like that's almost not possible to answer. I feel like I couldn't pick one or the other.
Even if you had to choose?
I had to choose.
Can we get a final answer? I know it's hard.
I guess access to abortions.
Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And obviously it was, air quoting, democracy that sent abortion and those decisions back down to the states. Jerry Nadler, this guy founded Jerry Nadler. And by the way, you can see all of this. I posted it. It's a long, long video, about 20 minutes long. You can see it on my X feed at Dan Mandis Show. He caught up with Jerry Nadler. Listen very close to what old High Pants Nadler had to say.
Can we please, this year, it'd be so brat, have a higher tax rate for rich white men?
Well, if we have a Democratic Congress, we certainly will.
Yeah, baby. Tax those rich old whiteys. Come on.
So I don't know. This was, Johnny, we were talking earlier about getting with Chris Hand for all the latest cool, hip, vernacular. And apparently the term brat these days is actually a good thing. Brat means cool, or it would be really awesome if we could do this. And so this guy, and again, Lionel McLoin, asking Jerry Nadler, saying, wouldn't it be so brat if we could tax old rich white men?
Can we please, this year, it'd be so brat, have a higher tax rate for rich white men?
Well, if we have a Democratic Congress, we certainly will.
Yeah, baby. Tax those rich old whiteys. Come on.
So Jerry Nadler actually admits that he would like to tax old, rich, white men. Now, why isn't the media going absolutely nuts about this? Now, listen, Nadler was probably drunk or quite frankly didn't understand. All I'm saying is that can you imagine if that was Donald Trump and somebody asked Donald Trump the same kind of question and he answered in that way? People would lose their ever-loving minds. So you'll see that this influencer, Lionel McCloin, he's asking them kind of ridiculous questions to gauge the best response, like when he spoke to Letitia James.
Are you worried Donald Trump's going to weaponize the justice system if he gets in power?
I'm concerned about Project 2025. And it's important that individuals understand that Project 2025 basically consolidates power in the hands of one dangerous man. And so it's really critically important.
They're prosecuting his political enemies.
Exactly.
Yes, you heard what he did there, right? When he says to Letitia James, who is literally prosecuting her political enemy. She is, of course, as you know, the DA of Fulton County. And yes, they are going after their political enemies with Donald Trump. So obviously a lot of hypocrisy here. Chris Cuomo was asked a great question.
Give me your best pickup line.
My best pickup line, I'll pay.
There you go. Chris Cuomo. His best pickup line, I'll pay.
Give me your best pickup line.
My best pickup line, I'll pay.
And finally, he did connect with a random Democrat girl, and she didn't come off sounding so smart.
Who are the cuties in the Democratic Party that are speaking?
Oh, I don't know. Talk to anyone who lives in D.C. It's hard to find a cute Democrat.
Wow.
It's hard to find the cute ones.
The Republican guys are hotter?
Yeah, but they're evil. So, I don't know.
We kind of love evil. Oh, my God.
Listen, so apparently, according to this random Democrat girl, Republicans are better looking, but we're evil. And that's the kind of answers that this guy got. It's really fun. If you go and you check it out, you can. It's on my Twitter feed at Dan Mandis Show, 720 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More serious now with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, of course, as you know, at least according to yours truly, this is my opinion, is that he is one of the absolute best spokesmen for Donald Trump and his policies. He was on Meet the Press, and as he's on Meet the Press, they're still trying to dispel this notion that Kamala Harris had nothing to do with all of this illegal immigration. He was on Meet the Press. This is what he had to say as they're trying to say, oh, no, she wasn't the border czar and all of these other things.
Whatever the real number is, it's way too high, right? It's millions upon millions of illegal immigrants that have come in just since Kamala Harris became the border czar a few years ago.
She was put in charge of the root causes of migration.
Well, the root causes of migration, I would say, Kristen, is that Kamala Harris refuses to do her job as border czar.
I mean, he's right. I mean, we said this. What are the root causes of migration? Well, it's the open borders. It's all the benefits. It's the free schooling. It's the money, the gift cards, the phones, and the free place to stay. So if you want to talk about the root causes of migration, just, put that in air quotes, that is clearly what the root causes of migration are. It is 7:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up is Ken Weaver and the news. Ken, what's coming up?
Well, the family of a man police say was lured to a home in Donaldson and then murdered last week is speaking out. Details at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 7:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Back to school time. And my friends at United Structural Systems, they know that new school clothes and supplies, they are expensive. So they're offering a great back to school promotion. They're going to offer you 10% off of any job over $2,500, along with special financing options as well. No payments and no interest for an entire year. Now, you know that they can fix your foundation, help you with waterproofing and concrete leveling, to name just a few. They've been helping Middle Tennesseans for over 30 years. Now, don't forget that great deal. 10% off of any job over $2,500, along with special financing options as well. No payments and no interest for an entire year. Now, USS is the company that has helped me with my foundation. They are the company that I trust and have trusted for years. I'm a client of USS. I do endorse them highly. So call them, mention my name, and get all kinds of great specials. 615-488-7855 is the phone number. 615-488-7855. We guarantee our best. Call USS. You can find them online, USSTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
727, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. A lot of commentary to my commentary on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. So Guy talked about, see if I have the audio handy again real quick. Yeah, this guy is saying that hate, he says, is the default energy of Nashville. Listen to this again.
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. I get free speech and I get, the right that people don't want their rights taken away. But I think that you also have to come in and say there needs to be some sort of middle ground.
Right. So he's saying there has to be some sort of a middle ground related to these white supremacists that are wandering around Nashville with their signs and their hoods and, yelling at little black kids and so forth. Just awful. And most people that texted into the super text line agree that the energy of Nashville, the default energy of Nashville, many people said the default energy of Nashville is drunk. I can actually see that. However, I would say that if you believe that the default energy of Nashville is hate, I think that you've been hanging out with Justin Jones and Justin Pearson and Gloria Johnson a little too much, because at least to me, that's what they represent. But at least for me, no, Nashville is not all about hate, and certainly Tennessee isn't either. That's a Democrat narrative and yet another lie told by the Democrat Party. It is 7:29 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to tell you about my buddy Paul Winkler. Yes, it is an election year, and I bet you're wondering if you're invested for the future and your retirement, regardless of what happens. Paul Winkler has been on the radio here in Middle Tennessee for nearly 20 years, and he can give you all the information for you to be ready for, whatever happens. Make sure you're invested for the future. Now, Paul and his team, they're all former investment brokers and insurance agents. One was even a securities attorney who worked for a big financial company. They know the investing world, and they're ready to put that knowledge to work for you. Check out Paul and his entire team at paulwinkler.com. They're fee-based. In other words, no commissions, which means they're not trying to sell you something. They want to teach you how to relax about money. So call them 615-851-1950, paulwinkler.com.
7:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heat and humidity start ramping up. In fact, we have an air quality alert today for the ozone that could reach unhealthy limits. It is a code orange alert today. The Pentagon is responding to the rising tensions in the Middle East by keeping some of its naval hardware in the area. Here's ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz.
The U.S. military has had a very visible, very robust presence in the region with 2 carrier battle groups. That means aircraft carriers with supporting combat ships and fighter jets. And this morning, the Pentagon making clear those ships will stay in the region.
Yeah, this comes after the IDF targeted Hezbollah with attacks and the terror group fired hundreds of rockets. And here in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell's proposing new regulations in reaction to what officials say are hate groups demonstrating in the city. The mayor wants to do 4 things. He wants to prevent protesters from hiding their identities with masks or face coverings, create buffer zones around public buildings and parking lots, prohibit the placement of distracting signs over a highway, and prohibit the distribution of handbills on private property before sunrise or after sunset. He says he's going to make these recommendations to the Metro Council in the near future. The family of a man police say was lured to a home in Donaldson and murdered last week is speaking out.
You loved people enough that you still went, even though you didn't know what the outcome would be. He shot him, murdered him, riddled him up with bullets, 10 or whatever speculation they said. And the part is, they left that same person that would give them anything, feed you, take care of you, left him there like he was a dog.
The relatives of 20-year-old Xavier Johnson speaking to Channel 4 there. Police say Johnson arrived at a short-term rental with a woman when a man came out of some bushes and shot him multiple times. The man and the woman took off. Johnson found dead in the backyard. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
#7:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into Nashville's Morning News. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. Headline, not a good one this morning. Navy to sideline 17 vessels due to manpower shortage. Operating crews will be redistributed according to a report. They say retiring the vessels would free up about 700 sailors and Marines for redistribution. This is a big deal. And we got China, we got Russia, we got North Korea. I mean, we have a lot of enemies who are lining up to come after us. And this story does nothing but make us look weaker. The Navy will reportedly sideline these 17 vessels. They say there just are not enough merchant Marines to keep all the ships going at once, according to Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery, Senior Director at the Center of Cyber and Technology Innovation for the Foundation for Defense of Democracy, telling Fox News Digital that merchant Marines operate the many support vessels needed to keep the Navy running. He says the problem, of course, is the ships are at sea, away from home port 12 months of the year, Montgomery said. So you need 2 crews. He says we're desperately short of the number of people. They talk about the Military Sea Lift Command drafted a plan to put 17 ships into extended maintenance, which would include a redistribution of crews to other vessels across the Navy. Now, we all know what's been going on with the military. There's been a lot going on with the military as far as the shortage of recruits, This has been a very big deal. And the reason it's a big deal, again, as I just mentioned, is that we've got a lot of these rogue nations, a lot of these nations that are Iran. You can talk about Iran. Again, I mentioned North Korea. I mentioned Russia. I mentioned China, and on it goes. And so the weaker that our country looks, the worse it is for us militarily, because then we end up in the crosshairs of some of our enemy nations. Now, the other day, Trump was really, Kamala Harris won't do this, but Donald Trump was really getting into some of the nitty gritty of policy. And so he knows that we're having issues in the military. We know that recruitment is down, and we know that we need to fix it. Donald Trump does have some ideas. Johnny, need some audio?
Kamala and Joe Biden, morale in our military is now so low that almost every single branch is suffering a major recruitment and retention crisis. You know that. Upon taking office, I will begin the largest peacetime recruitment drive in the history of the armed forces. We have to fill our armed forces with great people. The sense of spirit, pride, and prestige will soon come roaring back and reach levels never seen before. We're going to make it so hot that I'm going to want to resign and join the military.
So that is Donald Trump. And you know what? I think it was in North Carolina. There's a great article at military.com that shows the reasons why recruitment is down. And again, the story this morning, or actually it was over the weekend, where we're going to have to basically park a bunch of Navy ships because we don't have the personnel. The end of the war in Afghanistan is one of the reasons why military recruitment is down, because that was an embarrassment. So that's number one. Number two, the politicization of the military. That is Joe Biden and all of the wokeness crap of the military these days. I'd also say the lack of respect for law and order in this country by the left is also a major factor. You also have just a small percentage of people. I didn't realize it was this bad. But you have such a small percentage of people, our young adults, who even actually meet the standards to get into the military. Then, of course, we all start the conversation. Do you lower the standards? But you have a lack of fitness, a big-time lack of fitness these days for younger adults. That is a big problem. RFK Jr. was talking about that. Also, you have people who have criminal records. They're not allowed to join the military. Open tattoos. That is also another reason why you can't join the military. So there's a lot of issues. And Donald Trump, he is bound and determined to try to figure out how to reestablish our military recruitment. The point is, there's another policy goal for Donald Trump. Get more people in the military.
Kamala and Crooked Joe purged 8,000 service members from our military for refusing their COVID vaccine mandate.
Yep.
They refused to do it. I will rehire every patriot who was fired from the military with an apology and with back pay. Yes. They will get their back pay and an apology from our government.
I mean, you remember when Biden was running around, if I remember the story correctly, he was trying to get some of these folks to rejoin the military. I don't think he apologized, but, you know, you want to talk about breaking trust. You fired 8,000 members of our military because they wouldn't get a vaccine. I mean, that's awful. And so then Biden comes back around and, hey, yeah, you know what, if you want to come back, and a lot of these guys were like, no, not under you. Yeah, I read a while ago that only a smattering of those 8,000 drummed out of the service for refusing the vaccination have come back. And again, I don't blame them. This is a big part of the issues with refilling the ranks. Nobody trusts the government not to do this again. There is, of course, the issue of transgenders in the military as well.
But under Comrade Kamala, our military has been abused for radical social experiments. On day one, I will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our U.S. Armed Forces. We're taking it out. If you want to have a sex change or a social justice seminar, then you can do it somewhere else, but you're not going to do it in the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force, or the United States Marines. Sorry.
I mean, listen, he's right. I wonder how many Americans even know that taxpayers are paying for these surgeries of trans soldiers and all of the transition-related care. I wonder how many people actually know that. Kamala Harris is all about that. Saw a video of her over the weekend. I mean, the hits never stop coming with Kamala Harris. She's out there bragging that there was a guy who wanted to be a girl and he was in prison in California. And she made sure not only the California taxpayers paid for those trans surgeries and all of that care, but also made sure the dude got into the female prisons for females. Now, I don't know if that's the same guy that got into a prison for females and then ended up having relations with these females and got some of them pregnant. I don't know if that's the same one, but I mean, that's the point, is it's just simply ridiculous. One final cut here. Donald Trump spoke about the lie that Biden created millions of jobs after COVID, which he did not. Anybody who pays attention knows that those jobs were coming back as COVID evaporated and we were opening back up, and Trump called out Biden.
Remember this, the numbers sound good because they're called bounce back jobs. We had a pandemic, people were laid off, and then and this is common for ages, when a pandemic goes, you have bounce back. The businesses, and had we not done what we did with money, probably some of you benefited, but we would have been in a 1929 style depression. We did it just right. The problem is they came in, they no longer needed money. We gave them a country that was fixed, and more people died during Biden. Think of that. than died during us from COVID. Many more people died during them. But think of this. We gave them a country, and they blew it.
They did. I mean, Trump leaves office, leaves the White House. Joe Biden comes in, and he has all of these massive spending plans. Of course, as I have well documented, causes all kinds of inflation. That causes interest rates to go up, and stuff is still, thanks to Joe Biden, really expensive. Far more expensive than it was when Donald Trump left office. Running late, 7:46. Time to check the roads on WTN. $7:47 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather today, sunny and hot. High of 96. Going to be brutally hot this weekend right now. 69 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brutally hot this week with highs around 99. Going to be feels like temperature up into the triple digits as well. It's 7:48 now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I can't believe my eyes. Tim Walz has been caught lying again. This dude is a pathological liar. He'll fit right on in with the Democrats. Now, listen to this. This is from Fox News. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is facing another accusation of misrepresenting his background after a Nebraska Chamber of Commerce letter from 2006 resurfaced amid Walz's campaign for vice president. When Walz first ran for Congress in Minnesota, he touted on his campaign website that he had received an award from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce in 1993 for his work with the business community, according to a 2006 article from the Post-Bulletin. Shocker. He never actually received such an award, however, which was outlined by a blistering letter from the then president of the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce, a guy by the name of Barry L. Kennedy. So old Barry here, as the president of the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce, he sees that Walz is trying to say that he had received an award from his organization. He had never received such an award. Why does Tim Walz keep lying? I mean, I think that when people lie about their accomplishments, they obfuscate who they really are. Number one, I think that they are really insecure and they're weak. And that is what we're seeing with Tim Walz over and over and over again. Here's what the letter said from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce president at the time, Barry Kennedy. We researched this matter and can confirm that you have not been the recipient of any award from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. The letter addressed to Walz on November 1st of 2006 reads. And so they ended up, of course, Walz did have to change their website, and the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce ended up enforcing his opponent, Tim Walz's opponent. And again, yes, he did update his website. But you think about it. I mean, whether it is Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, they keep getting caught in lie after lie after lie. Earlier, and this is probably going to be a big topic of conversation throughout the day here on WTN Live and Local from now till 7 o'clock tonight, where Kamala Harris, she just keeps telling lies, as does Tim Walz. She is being blasted, absolutely blasted as she could, because of a little fib that she told in an actual commercial that she had, saying that she was going to be tough on illegal immigration.
As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Well, the problem, of course, is that they showed a couple of different shots of Donald Trump's border wall. Because as you know, Kamala Harris not only had nothing to do with building a wall, Certainly not Donald Trump's wall, but also she called the wall racist. So she's been caught in a lie as it relates to this particular commercial. Jonathan Karl, of all people, on ABC News saw this and actually called out the vice president.
But if you take a look at that ad, one thing that I found striking is if you look, and I think we have the images here, there are at least 3 points in that ad that show the border wall, Donald Trump's border wall. Is it now the position of the Democrats that they favor the border wall?
You know what? It wouldn't actually surprise me. If the polls get better for Donald Trump, you can bet that Kamala Harris is going to be out there screaming to build that wall, just because we know that they like to spew lies when it's politically convenient. It is 7:52. Time to check on what's coming up in the news at 8 with Ken Weaver.
Well, Nashville's mayor is proposing what he says are 4 new ways that will increase public safety. We'll tell you about it at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. Dan Mandis here. I use Zero Res to clean my carpets, and you should too. Now, I've got dogs and kids and a big backyard full of dirt that gets tracked in all the time. So it really does feel like I'm calling Zero Res every few months, because I am. You know, they clean with powered water, no harsh chemicals, no soap, and no residue. Just soft and fluffy carpets that stay clean longer. Now, right now, they've got a great offer for you, listeners to my show. 3 rooms of carpets clean for only $99, 20% off of air duct cleaning as well when you use promo code DUCT20. It's back to school time. Get back to clean carpets with Zero Res. They've got thousands of Google and Facebook reviews. And of course, my review. Zero Res gets 2 thumbs up from my house. Now, don't forget that great deal. 3 rooms of carpets clean for only $99, 20% off of air duct cleaning as well when you use promo code DUCT20. Restrictions may apply. Call now, 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376. Book online at ZeroResNashville.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, it is the right way to clean. 7:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, coming up next, got some new polling out there that just came out. The RFK effect on the presidential election. That story for you and a whole lot more right here on Nashville's Morning News. By the way, don't forget, we just announced this morning, join Dan, that's me, Chris, Matt, and Brian at Scoreboard, Cedar Creek, and Mount Juliet as we watch the next presidential debate together. Cannot wait. Tuesday, September 10th. Details can be found at 997WTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 8 o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Hot and humid and an air quality alert in effect today. The general public likely won't be affected, but active children and adults and people with chronic breathing problems such as asthma are advised to limit prolonged outdoor exertion due to the potential for ozone levels that could exceed unhealthy standards today. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell says he will propose new ways to increase public safety in light of what officials say were marches by white supremacists. This anti-hate rally goer over the weekend tells Channel 4.
I don't like that Nashville has become a place where people feel like hate is the default energy. And I get free speech and I get, the right that people don't want their rights taken away. But I think that you also have to come in and say there needs to be some sort of middle ground.
Well, Mayor O'Connell put out a statement on Friday saying political tensions are high and this legislation will help us discourage behavior that can spark violence. Part of what O'Connell wants to do is make an adjustment to the city's policy on masks and face coverings to make it illegal for protesters to hide their identities. Today marks 6 months since Sebastian Rogers disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, and Channel 4's Carly Gordon says his father may demonstrate outside of the sheriff's office today.
Just last night, he posted on Facebook essentially saying he wants answers now. 15-year-old Sebastian went missing on February 26th. Crews have conducted multiple searches but haven't found a trace of the missing teen. We've also seen prayer vigils and fundraisers held by community members that are now rallying around Sebastian's family. His father, Seth Rogers, has not been cleared as a suspect in his son's case, but he has been very vocal about trying to keep his son son's story alive, and he's expressed frustration with the way law enforcement is handling the case.
There is no set time for when Seth Rogers will demonstrate in front of the sheriff's department. We will be monitoring. And what a story some people have to tell about their summer trip to the Grand Canyon. Heavy rains and swelling rivers over the weekend prompted rescue missions to pluck tourists out of harm's way.
Everyone's evacuating. All right. High ground.
Helicopters were used to evacuate more than 100 tourists and residents of a local Indian reservation from flooded areas Saturday. The National Weather Service said the area received between 1 to 2 inches of rain within 60 to 90 minutes. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Right now, Dow futures are up 78, S&P up 6, NASDAQ down 23. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Information fueled,
opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
8:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Got all kinds of stuff going on. Kamala Harris and Truancy Gate. Now, listen, there's all kinds of things that we complain about, can talk about regarding Kamala Harris and the things that she wants to do, has done, she's changed her mind on. You know, Kamala Harris, she's like, and I've used this analogy before, she's trying to juggle Jell-O, trying to figure out what the heck her political policies are. Because she's done things in the past that she disavows, or that she denies, or she says that she's changed, or she says, well, I didn't really say that. It is impossible to figure out where she really is. Now, one of the big questions is this is the last week in August. And so remember, she said, well, we're going to do an interview by the end of the month. And that was like 3 weeks ago. So now inquiring minds want to know, who is the interview going to be with? Or will this be another broken promise by Kamala Harris? Now, over the weekend, the story of Truancy Gate came up again. And so I haven't really delved into this particular part of Kamala Harris's past, except that they did an interview a couple of months ago. So I want to go back to this, because you have the Harris campaign trying to deny that Kamala Harris had a part in sending children's parents to jail for their kids being truant at school, not going to school. And so the question is, did she or did she not send parents to jail for their kids' truancy? A classic example, I will say, of gaslighting. I love this on Twitter over the weekend. I want you to listen close. One reporter telling two completely different stories.
One of the programs that she started on truancy, which is what a lot of people have been hitting my Twitter feed about, how, you know, that program, from their criticism is it separated black children from their families. She talks about the fact that, you know, yeah, there were a lot of tough decisions that were made, but I stand by them. She's going to have to talk about that more fully.
All right, so that reporter talking about Truancy Gate and people asking her to clarify what's up with this story about you separating, I'm going to air quote, black parents with their children, kids who are not going to school. Now, this was just after she announced that she was running. Same reporter, but completely, seemingly disavowing what he reported before.
Kamala Harris never sent parents to jail for their kids' truancy.
So you see, right, we have an example, yet another example of the media, and they were going after Kamala Harris before she was running for president. Then once she runs for president, everybody does everything that they can to shield Kamala Harris because they can't have Donald Trump in the White House again. So you see what's going on. Now, this is what she said when she was elected to the state of California, the Attorney General's office. I want you to listen very close.
We are going to expand our campaign to end elementary school truancy. It is time to say that in the state of California, it is a crime for a child to go without an education.
All right, so when there's a crime and you get convicted, then what happens? You face some sort of a consequence. Now, here's the setup. As San Francisco's local district attorney from 2004 to 2011, she wanted to lower the San Francisco school district's truancy rate. And so she did come up with a bill that would fine or jail parents whose kids had high truancy rates. The governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, did sign that bill. Now, her tough on crime stance ended up going statewide, and she actually did. She sponsored a bill in the California State Senate, SB 1317, and that did exactly what she said that it would do. It would send parents to jail if their kids had an abundance of truancies. So, yeah, her idea, her bill, it went statewide. She sponsored it in the state Senate, and it did result in parents being jailed. So I don't really understand why she's running from this. Factcheck.org shows that California's 2010 truancy law that she sponsored, again, did result in parents being jailed. So factcheck.org is actually saying that Kamala Harris is lying when she says, no, I didn't send anybody to jail. I didn't separate black kids from their parents. No. Well, factcheck.org would say otherwise. And it was interesting because I was watching her inaugural address when she was elected as California's Attorney General. I want you to listen very close.
So goes California, so goes the nation. People around this country look to California. They look to us to see what change looks like. They look to us to see what innovation can be. They look to us because we are always unburdened by what has been and instead inspired by what can be. And that is the promise of California.
So I just want to make sure that y'all understand what she's saying. So she's saying that we all look to California so that we can see how the rest of the nation should go. So incredibly high regulations that are strangling businesses, California becoming a sanctuary state and being overrun by illegals, California citizens being killed by illegals. And yes, massive amount of citizens fleeing the state of California.
They look to us to see what change looks like.
We look to you to make sure that we don't end up like you, I would say. Mandatory minimum wage for fast food restaurants that put Californians out of business. It cost millions of people their jobs, and it caused businesses to shut down. So no, we're not looking to California as an example for the rest of the country. We're simply not. Nice try, Kamala Harris. Massive crime continues specifically because of her time in the Attorney General's office, where she sponsored soft on crime measures. We've talked about that ad nauseum here on Nashville's Morning Shoes. They're still dealing with the ramifications of Kamala Harris when she was San Francisco's DA and the Attorney General for the state of California. Massive, 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 and tragic homelessness issues as well that have overrun California to the point where some parts of California are simply unlivable.
So goes California, so goes the nation.
They also, by the way, have a $68 billion budget gap, and that is growing. So in other words, California is, as I said earlier in the radio broadcast, California is the land of terrible ideas. And no, we should not be looking at California to see what America wants to be or where America should go from a direction standpoint. You want America to be like California, then you vote for Kamala Harris. Because I'm telling you what, if she gets into the White House and we end up with a Democrat-run Senate and we end up with a Democrat-run House of Representatives, we are in trouble. This is 8:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads. $8:15 on Nashville's Morning News. Sunny and hot today. A high of 96. Going to be brutally hot all week long. And Wednesday, look for a high of about 99. Right now, 69 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Of course, the biggest news of the day today, RFK Jr. throwing his considerable political weight behind Donald Trump. A great speech on Friday. Multiple appearances on the Talking Head shows over the weekend. A few highlights. Last Friday, he did speak about censorship in America.
He wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information. We know a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys? They're always the bad guys, because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism.
Listen, there's no doubt that RFK Jr. is one of the most censored people in America. And so I want to kind of paint a picture as to what he has been through since he announced that he was running for president. When COVID was going on, he was banned from commenting on the socials about vaccine hesitation. Now, it turns out that RFK Jr., like a lot of the critics of the vaccine mandates, that there was a lot to be hesitant about, and those people that had concerns were actually right. RFK Jr. had a 30-minute campaign video called Who is Bobby Kennedy that was basically suppressed on social media as well. It was given the laptop from hell treatment. They did everything they could to suppress his message. RFK Jr., just, going down the road of censorship, RFK Jr. was blocked by the Democrats, actually blocked, utilizing lawfare, the Democrats did, from getting on the ballot in many states across the country. I would say that, that is a form of censorship.
And I'm sorry to say that while democracy may still be alive at the grassroots, it has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, the Democratic Party. In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it.
Yeah, that audio was pulled from a roughly 48-minute video. I would love for you to watch it just to get to learn more about RFK. You can find it on my X feed at Dan Mandis Show. Follow me if you would. I'll follow you back. But he gave this great 48-minute speech, which was basically an introduction as to who he is. It came out, I believe, late last week or over the weekend. I'd mentioned earlier that this was released after Donald Trump named him as a part of his campaign, but somebody said, no, this was released before. Either way, I want you to go watch it and get to know RFK, now RFK Jr. Now, he was talking about the Democrats, obviously in that last soundbite, destroying democracy. So only Joe Biden can run in the primary. Remember that whole conversation with the Democrats, and that's why they used lawfare to keep RFK Jr. out of the primary, because they knew that he would damage and do big-time damage to Joe Biden. Then, of course, they tossed out Joe Biden, installed Kamala Harris. He also, by the way, RFK Jr. did in this 48-minute or so video, he invoked the name of his father, Robert F. Kennedy, and his uncle, John F. Kennedy. And he compared them to Kamala Harris. And it's not a favorable comparison, and her unwillingness to debate or be interviewed.
My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days. This is profoundly undemocratic.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. He also scolded the likes of CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, and MSNBC for their treatment of him because they won't give many interviews. And so he compared the likes of Ross Perot and how those very networks treated Ross Perot versus how they treated him. Listen.
Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me.
Wow, only 2. And they gave Ross Perot, 32? That tells you how much the media has changed. I think that is an indication. That says more about the media than it does about RFK Jr. Now, I'm not sure how many of these interviews he may have had with Fox, but that is true. Another form of censorship, I would say, where he could not get his message out to the American people. And he says that at the time, he was polling in the 20s. In this speech, he also talked about his passions, which is processed foods or ultra-processed foods and its impact on kids. Of course, vaccines, big pharma as well. He spoke about Ukraine and the amount of money that we're sending to Ukraine and the fact that he and Donald Trump will admit, and I love this about RFK Jr., he and Donald Trump will admit that they do have some policy differences, many policy differences, but there's a lot of issues that they agree on, and the biggest issue that they do agree on is the fact that Kamala Harris would be an absolute disaster for our country. It is 8:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Deadly weather in Alaska, a landslide, and at least one person dead. We've got details coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. You know how much I love the Glock store, right? It is where I buy my guns. It's where I buy my ammo and, yes, my accessories as well. And it is where I learned to shoot and continue to train. Now, training at the Glock store is great because every session is a private lesson in private rooms, not public lanes. And, they also do parties at the Glock store. Yes, they do. I've seen bachelor parties going on, birthday parties, retirements. They even do corporate team building. It's part of what I love about the Glock store. Now, parties will include a VIP room with a full kitchen, dedicated shooting rooms with instructors, and shooting activities designed for every level. Now, these parties are going to include ammo and even full auto options. To get your party started, email them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. Party@glockstore.com. That's party@glockstore.com. Send them an email and they'll get right to work on planning a customized party just for you and your friends and family. The Glock store is my place to shoot and party. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. 828, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is alive and well. A lot of folks chiming in today. I haven't been real active on it this morning. Usually I like to go back and forth with folks. I have not been going back and forth too much.
Not too much, huh, Brother Dan?
Ken, did you hear what I did?
No.
Be honest. Yes, you didn't hear what I did?
No, I did not.
All right. Johnny, don't say anything. We'll save it as the official tease for the Gang of Four Amigos.
Oh, I can't wait.
I didn't know I did this, but apparently I did this because I've got probably about 15, 20 people telling me I did something that I had and 3 text messages from my friends are telling me what I did as well.
And I heard it the minute you did it.
Because, I can always count on my friends to tell me when I've, shanked something. So, and it's actually pretty funny. I can't wait to hear the audio. Coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Dan Mandis here. I want to tell you about my friends at COVID Generators. Listen, it is going to be really hot today, and it's going to be really hot this weekend and this week. It would be an absolute disaster if you lost power and had to endure this heat with no air conditioning, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from Cove Generators. And right now, listeners to my show get $500 off when you mention my name, Dan Mandis. Now, Cove Generators, they are your premier Generac home standby generator dealer here in the state of Tennessee. If you've got any questions, my buddy Generator Dave, he's going to answer whatever questions you have. Now, he and the entire team at Cove Generators, they will answer your questions before and after you buy that backup generator. Remember that great deal. You mention my name, $500 off when you mention WTN. Now, that is a deal you're not going to find anywhere else, but at Cove Generators, they also offer you financing so that you can be ready for the next power outage. Remember that great deal, $500 off when you mention WTN. Find them online. It is covegenerators.com, and never lose power again. Covegenerators.com, 931-559-3311. covegenerators.com. Terms and conditions may apply.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. An air quality alert in effect in Middle Tennessee for potentially unhealthy levels of ozone due to heat and humidity today. You're just asked to not prolong any physical exertion outside today. Full forecast, traffic updates in 5 minutes. We'll get you an update on that issue right now on Murfreesboro Pike between Fessler's Lane and Elm Hill Pike. Murfreesboro Pike is closed there both directions because a crash took down a telephone pole. Deadly weather in Alaska. Landslide has left one person dead, 3 others injured. The danger may not be over, says Ginger Z.
This is Ketchikan. So this is the southern part, very southern part on an island there. The mountains are about 3,000 feet. You still have evacuation orders in place because they're concerned about another slide just south of the original one. Why? It's been raining a lot over the weekend. 2.5 inches at the kind of base and 5 to 9 inches up top. There's some 20 inches below average for the year, even with what they got over the weekend. So you have dry, then it gets really wet really fast. You had wind gusts up to 37 miles per hour, and that'll do it.
Meanwhile, in Arizona, Grand Canyon flash flood. About 25 National Park Service personnel, a helicopter, 2 rescue vessels looking for 33-year-old Chenoa Nickerson, who was swept away while hiking on Sunday. And someone is a whole lot richer in Murfreesboro. Fox 17 says a winning Mega Millions ticket sold at the Circle K on Church Street on Friday is worth $3 million. They matched all 5 white Mega Millions numbers. That player added the Mega Plier option, tripling the prize to $3 million. By the way, the Mega Millions jackpot stands at $575 million, and the next drawing is tomorrow. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. We are 2 minutes into a brand new trading week, and right now the Dow is up 97 points. S&P up 10. NASDAQ is down 7. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Dan Mandis here, 8:33 on Nashville. Shut up, Chris. I'm trying to do a commercial. What is it? Shut up, knucklehead. I'm broadcasting. I'm just kidding. 8:33 on WTN. Dan Mandis here. Did you know that Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America? They've got over 11,000 five-star reviews at Mark Spain Real Estate. They are going to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Now, at Mark Spain Real Estate, it is hassle-free selling. With the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, now they've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years. As a matter of fact, they've helped over 58,000 families sell their homes. This is the company you need to call to get out of your home fast. Call them 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD, or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. Here are Nashville's morning shoes. All right, so apparently I said Nashville's morning shoes. I did.
When did that happen?
Ken, you didn't have your headphones on. Johnny just played it. Johnny, have that queued up?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Let's kill all the... Let's listen to this in all of its wonderful, beautiful train wreckery. Here are Nashville's morning shoes.
That's a good one. And it just happened not mere moments ago.
Why did I say Nashville's Morning Shoes?
You said you'll hear this you won't hear this on Nashville's Morning Shoes.
Why do I do these? It's been a good show, too. I had lots of audio. I had good commentary. And you're on Nashville's Morning Shoes. And I had a great...
Brother Dan, you're just trying to stay a step ahead.
That's right. In fact, you've come up with a new marketing idea, Nashville's Morning Shoes.
Yeah. Listen, it's next quarter, it'll be like Nashville's Morning Belt.
Well, that brings up all kinds of ideas.
Nashville's Morning Pants. Okay, maybe we'll move on.
Let's just leave it at the shoes.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
I always take it a step too far, don't I? Just a step too far.
It wouldn't be Brother Dan Mandis if you didn't.
Oh, man alive. All right, very good.
Yeah.
Hey, big announcement. Corporate wants us to announce. Go ahead, Chris.
Join Dan, Chris, Matt, and Brian at Scoreboard, Cedar Creek in Mount Juliet as we watch the next presidential debate together. Are you guys hype? I'm hype.
I'm big hype.
Tuesday, September 10th. We're going to start at 3 o'clock. The Drive is going to be doing the whole show live. Brian gets to get there early. He's very, very hype. We're going to be there as well. And we're going to be broadcasting right up until it starts. So
there you go.
It's going to be awesome.
All right.
Very exciting. That place like 5 minutes from my house.
Scoreboard in Cedar Creek. The last time we were there was for the Christmas party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you brought in the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yeah, I brought
and
in
you
the
had
tree.
that whole. Did they call it? Is it a psyop?
It was a bit of a psyop.
Yeah, psyop.
Yeah.
So where it's like Chris is like trying to find he's like walks in and he says, I need a pickup truck to bring in the Christmas tree. And I'm like, you're not bringing in a big old Christmas tree. He said, oh, I am. And it did the whole thing. He brings in a Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
I can't wait for Christmas.
So everybody was thinking it was going to be like a 12-foot tree.
Yeah, I did.
I asked Murphy if I could borrow his trailer.
I remember that.
That was funny. Hey,
that's good.
By the way, I think that in honor of Nashville's Morning Shoes, I think that what I want you to do for the event is just, write on your shoes Nashville's Morning News, and then you too can have Nashville's Morning News shoes.
Air Force Dan's.
What?
Air Force Dan's?
Air Force Dan's, yes. They're sure. See, that wasn't really very funny.
I liked it.
Which was more funny, Air Force Dan's or the fact that I came up with Nashville's Morning Shoes?
I like Nashville's Morning Shoes.
I don't know why I said that, actually. That's kind of bizarre. You ever wonder if you're having like mini strokes or something on the air? Has that ever happened to you guys?
Well, I was just having a conversation with our buddy down the hall, Matt, about my favorite place for chicken wings in Murfreesboro. And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the place. So I couldn't tell him. But I said they got real big fat chicken wings.
But you've been there forever, haven't you?
Yeah, it's like they tie chickens to traffic tires and make them pull them around the chicken pen until they're big enough to put in the fryer.
Wow. Okay.
There you go, muscular chicken wings, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of the place.
You know what's so funny? The four of us have this great device right at our fingertips called Google.
Yes.
I don't have time right now, Brother Dan. I got to pay attention to the show.
You're on the radio. It's exactly, because, I was paying attention when I said Nashville's Morning Shoes. So that's what happens when I pay attention.
Well, see, I was paying attention and caught Nashville's Morning Shoes.
Good, Johnny.
I know you were thrilled about that.
Oh, no, you know what? I didn't need you to catch it because all the people on the super text line caught it. Do you know how disheartening, has this ever happened to you guys? Where it's like, you have no idea. You're breezing through a show, no problem, last hour ahead. And then you go onto the super text line and you realize you've done something.
Yes.
Because I get all these super texts at 615-737-9986. Did Dan just say Nashville's Morning Shoes? Nashville's Morning Shoes? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like, so I say during the break, Johnny, what the hell did I do? And he says, you said Nashville's Morning Shoes. And I'm like, every day there's like a new...
Something new every day with
a new
Brother
shank?
Dan Mandis.
Yes, it is.
It's cray-cray.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear do you know who Lionel McLoin is?
Yeah, I've seen this video. I heard you talking about it earlier. It's awesome.
So, can you tell me, like, real quickly, is he like...
He's trolling.
He's trolling?
Yeah.
So is he conservative?
I think so.
I can't really tell.
It's a really good troll job.
Well,
like he's in character.
Okay, he's in character.
I think he's in character.
He's flamboyant.
Yes.
Now, is that flamboyancy in character?
I feel like that's by design.
Okay, so this is what he said to, I love this because he's running around speaking to Democrats during the DNC, and this is actually my favorite part.
Can we please, this year, it'd be so brat, have a higher tax rate for rich white men?
Well, if we have a Democratic Congress, we certainly will.
Yeah, baby. Tax those rich old whiteys. Come on.
Jerry Nadler, by the way, victim of Lionel McCloin.
It would be so brat, wouldn't it?
So I was trying to explain to Johnny and Ken. Now, I can't believe that in this conversation, I was actually the hippest in the room. I was trying to explain to them that brat is now considered cool.
Well, I tried to explain it to you, what was it, last week? About Brat Summer with Charlie XCX. She put out an album called Brat.
I blocked that out, actually.
That's where it comes from.
Brat is good.
Yes.
So I can't say to Riker, hey, stop being a brat, because then he'll be like, I succeeded. I'm being called a brat.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it works with the young gentleman the same way. He might.
Is that like a, okay, so is
he
that
might
like
revolt against that.
Okay, so I'm got to tread lightly here because I've noticed something. So when you say brat as in a good thing, oh, that's so brat, is that like, do you have to be flamboyant? Shut up, Johnny. Go ahead and grab that one too. Go ahead.
I think we're running out of room.
We're gonna have to. I don't have any more buttons.
We're gonna have to get a new hard drive, man.
Get ready to say an external.
Do you have to be flamboyant to be able to use the word brat in a positive way?
I'm just not sure that especially knowing how you speak of Riker, he might be like, no, dude, no, not for me.
Okay, I don't know, because what I'm noticing is that the flamboyancy, those are the people that are using brat and like girls.
Seems that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that side of the aisle.
So if I walk in and I say to you, dude, that segment was brat.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan.
Wouldn't be a fan of that? Okay, moving right along. I also liked when he talked to Chris Cuomo.
Give me your best pickup line.
My best pickup line, I'll pay.
What a misogynist.
What a misogynist. Oh, here's the deal. How many women are like, yep.
Did you you played the other one where the lady was like, there are no cute liberals.
Oh yeah, here this one. This is right here.
Who are the cuties in the Democratic Party that are speaking?
I don't know. Talk to anyone who lives in D.C. It's hard to find a cute Democrat. It's hard to find the cute ones.
The Republican guys are hotter?
Yeah, but they're evil. So I don't know.
We kind of love evil. Oh my God.
There you go. Oh. So
I found myself agreeing with her. There was not a looker in the bunch at the DNC. I was scanning the crowd.
Yeah, it was not a pretty bunch.
Listen, when Jerry Nadler is the highlight, women are like, hey, Jerry. They've got like a $1 bill to put in
Jerry, I just love the way you wear your pants so high.
High pants Nadler.
I love a man that has his belt up around his breasts.
It's like his belt is holding up his breasts.
Yeah. Oh. I think it is.
Jerry Nadler wears a man's ear.
Yeah, he does. Instead of the bra, it's the bro.
All right, so now I am kind of curious though. Is people are having fun now? Dan Jordan's for my Nashville's morning shoes. But does that woman have a point? Like, is that the truth? Like, so we're all guys here. So,
yeah,
who's got the better looking women, Republicans or Democrats? Now, I will tell you that I've dated both, and I married a conservative, and my experience in my many years of dating was that, at least for me, who I find most attractive are the ones that'll actually go out with me. I don't care what political proclivities they're at.
Those are the prettiest.
Those are the prettiest, Ken Weaver. Their hotness factor goes up when they say, yeah, sure, I'll meet you for a cup of coffee. I'm totally kidding. No.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You guys got any opinion? Hotter? Or am I just, am I like out on a limb on this one?
I don't think you're out on a limb. I just think I think
Republican women are better looking than Democrat women.
100%.
And they look even better when you find out that they agree with you.
That they'll what?
That they agree with you.
They agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's no fun living with someone that you constantly are arguing with.
Now, you guys will not be surprised by this. Oh, should I do this?
Well, now you have to.
No, I don't think you should, Dan. Let's move along.
Put the shovel down.
This will come as not a surprise to anyone, but the mustachioed girl that I dated was a Democrat.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
And if she had the mustache, who knows? The hair, hairy legs may have been not too far behind.
Well, I think she did have hair, if I remember right.
Did she?
I was so scarred by the mustache, I don't remember the legs, but I'm pretty sure that she had hairy legs too. Chris, do you have anything for this? Jesus, man. Well, come on, somebody else speak.
I'm monitoring the super text line, and they're
please don't.
They're weighing Republicans versus Democrats, and it seems like the left really only has AOC. I don't think she's very pretty.
She's cute.
She's cute.
Nah.
So you ever see the dance video?
Yeah.
And she's cute.
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, on the flip side, there's we have Lauren Boebert and Anna Paulina Luna.
Did you see those bathing suit pictures of Anna Paula Luna, whatever her name is?
Only for research.
Same here.
But
Same
Chris
here.
had that one ready, man.
Well, he did.
He had that ready in case his wife is going through the history on his phone.
That's research, babe.
That's what. Actually, that's just my line for everything. That's for research.
They were just attacking her for those, and she was like, "Yes, I used to be a model."
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So for people who didn't know, what's her name?
Anna Paulina Luna.
So she is a congresswoman from Florida, and she had these Trump bathing suits on, these very Republican-looking bathing suits. I mean, I'm just going to say she was good looking. And all the Democrats started attacking her. And I couldn't figure out why they were attacking her.
Jealousy.
Well, yeah, they're like, well, y'all a bunch of misogynists. It's like, no, she chose to empower herself by wearing the bikini or wearing the bathing suit. I don't remember what it was. Bathing suit, one piece, two piece. Was it a one piece or a two piece?
I only saw a one piece.
Okay. One piece, whatever. Anyway, so yeah.
Scandal.
Scandalous.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you see, you know what I forgot to do today? And if you don't have it, you should get it. Tammy Bruce's open letter to the Kennedy clan.
No, I've not seen that.
When you sit down, find it because it's really good.
I have a lot of Kennedy audio today, which is, I'm really excited about that endorsement. I'm excited about what it means. We're going to have Bernadette Pager from Tennessee's Stand for Health Freedom joining the show to talk about really in depth what it means when it comes to the food industry and the dyes and the ultra processed stuff. As parents, we're dealing with this every single day. I'm trying to get some of this dye out of my house, and it's it's an uphill battle, man. It's everywhere, and then all the problems that creates. I think it's really good to have somebody like that inside the party.
Well, the thing that I like most about RFK Jr. and what it really tells you about Donald Trump and his campaign is whether it's Elon Musk, whether it is RFK Jr. or whoever else. Is that maybe Tulsi Gabbard, is that he's willing to expand his tent for people that don't agree with him on every single issue. The Democrats can't do that.
Right.
They refuse to do that. So I think that I'm excited for RFK. I'm excited for the fact that it's going to help Donald Trump in the battleground states. And I also think that it says a lot about Donald Trump because remember, it's the left that's always screaming that Donald Trump is the dictator. A dictator kills his political opponents, doesn't invite them into his campaign. So I'm very excited. Find the Tammy Bruce open letter to Democrats because she takes out the Kennedy clan.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. And a lot of the Democrats have been all up in arms about it. Axelrod said that RFK's father would be really appalled at this endorsement. It's like, are you kidding me? He'd be appalled at the state of the Democrat Party.
Exactly. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. So is that your official tease?
Yeah, we're going in on the RFK endorsement, and I'm very excited about it. Also, it's been 4 years ago today since the Kyle Rittenhouse events in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and 3 years ago today since the bombing at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan.
All right, lots going on. 8:53 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up?
Well, Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell plans to submit new ways he says will increase public safety. We'll give you the details coming up at 9 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.